Hello everyone, welcome back to Marvel Mania. 'Tis I, Captain Logan, and look, it's my wonderful chat moderator, producer, and co-host today, The Welder.
'Tis I, The Welder.
I am absolutely horrified, though probably more so after I saw El Camino.
I know, see, that was my only chance of getting a live-action Welder movie, and now it's never going to happen.
Yeah, but you have a cameo in the movie we're watching this evening, The Welder.
I do. If people don't know what's going on,
yeah,
just people that like Marvel Mania, they probably are very confused. This is like a long-running inside joke with like the Captain Logan Show people and the patrons.
Going back for years and years now.
Yeah, full circle. This is the first video we did together, besides that Bates Motel review.
That's right.
So sorry, people. It's going to be weird tonight.
So years ago, yeah, but it's Marvel Mania. It's supposed to be kind of weird. This is our technically our first gimmick, and we're going to sort of have two gimmicks this evening, although the second one will be technical and not all that interesting. So what the whole Welder thing is alluding to is DJ and I did a video a couple, 3 years ago now, where DJ talked about his time on the set of Spider-Man Homecoming, and he was an extra there, and he had to learn to do a mild amount of welding, and so he's back with a welding mask. That is not the mask that he had on set. He didn't get to take that home with him or anything.
No, that would have been awesome. Actually, I think that was just from the school, so I don't think it was anything special.
That'd be great. People always ask actors. I mean, I know you're just an extra. Like, did you steal anything from the set? You should have been like, yeah, and it was really hardcore too, because it was property of the public school system.
And I did almost steal something from the set, and I'll talk about that later. I wish I would have. But anyway.
Oh man, I can't wait to find that out. Yeah, you're probably gonna tell some stories that you didn't even tell when we did that video.
Yeah, this will be more extensive because I have like a full 2 hours, and I'll be reminded as we see stuff on screen. So this will be cool.
Yeah, that's going to be exciting. So we're going to do things a little bit differently this evening. I have already done a commentary on this movie. That happens with Marvel Mania. And so tonight, DJ is going to do a lot of the talking. So if you want to hear me being more analytical and more in-depth about this movie, go listen to the commentary. Like, not right now if you're watching live, because that'd be weird, right? You're like, oh, I'm not interested in this commentary. You go listen to the other commentary, but while we're broadcasting
I wouldn't blame them.
Live for this. Well, and this is of course not to take anything away from you. I'm sure this will be a really fun, entertaining commentary. I'm just saying it will be different than what I did before because I don't want to repeat myself too much. So what I'm going to do tonight is really let DJ run point on this, and I'm only going to respond to questions. So I'm not going to be reacting to things very much at all on the screen. There's like one point that I've never made before that I want to make sure that I bring up when we get there. So nobody give me crap for breaking the rules, but by and large, I'm just going to respond when you guys have questions. I'm basically going to be DJ's moderator this evening. And then if DJ has anything about the film that he wants to directly address me about, of course, DJ, you can ask me stuff and we can make sure and interact. But a lot of this is going to be DJ chatting about his feelings on this movie and his experiences being there the days that he was there. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Unfortunately, Spider-Man Homecoming is not currently streaming anywhere except for paid rentals. It's not on Disney Plus yet. I don't know if that's a Sony issue or if they just don't have the contracts worked out yet, but the Spider-Man movies are not there. And I thought they were, but they're not. So
yeah, I remember that being a big thing when Disney Plus came out, that people were mad about that. I don't know what the deal is. It's got to be some kind of rights issue with Sony.
And it's not even one of those that says, like, on such and such a date we'll have it. Because there's some movies like that where it's like they have a placeholder for it. They don't even have a placeholder for those movies. That I noticed. So anyway, so you'll have to get out your own copies, DVD, Blu-ray, or digital, however you have it. Get it to timestamp 0 past all the menus and get ready to press play when I say now. We're going to just jump right into it. Writer says it's a Sony thing, and if that's true, that would mean that it's not probably ever going to go there. Blue Dragon 5 says probably on Stars. I'm pretty sure it's not on Stars. Because I didn't see that on the websites I was looking that listed out the places that it has it, but they could have just been inaccurate. Mutale, Sony, be moved. Nothing has ever annoyed me more than Sony's their catchphrase telling me that I'm supposed to be moved. I tell you what, I'll watch your movie and I'll tell you if I was moved. Be moved. Hate that. Worst slogan ever. Okay, it's not, but I mean, it's up there. Okay, we're going to go ahead and just jump right into it, everybody. Get ready to press play. We're going to do it right now. Everybody, please press play. Make sure you're watching Spider-Man Homecoming and not Far From Home. I accidentally wrote Far From Home earlier today when
it's
I was doing this.
Man. They all got home in them.
When I was doing the social media for it, and I got... Bag was really nice. He sent me a message. He was like, I don't think you meant Far From Home, Cap. You need to go back and change it. And I was like, oops. It's going to be really bad if the third one has home in the title.
Oh, yeah. It probably will.
Spider-Man homeless.
Homeless Spider-Man. He'll look like Amazing Spider-Man 2, where he's like sick and he's got like a beanie on his head and a vest in the gas station.
Oh, Tom says non-USA has it on Netflix, so some of our foreign viewers may actually be able to watch it that way. Blue Dragon 5, maybe it just means be moved a little to the right. That's hilarious. Stephen Murphy, move or you will be moved. Okay, let's get started. Here we go. Everybody, please press play right now. Do it.
All right, I can't see anything.
Yeah, I was wondering if you were going to wear that on your head the entire time.
Probably not even going to wear it on my head the entire time. I'm going to take it off. So here we go. So I guess I'll talk a little bit about the background of this, because it goes all the way back to 2015 to Civil War. My wife and my best friend got to be in Civil War. They got to be extras on that. My wife was in the funeral scene, and then my best friend was in the opening market scene, whatever country that's in. So that's how I heard about Tammy Smith Casting, which is the people who put all the extras in this. So later when Homecoming came out, I was like, okay, I'm gonna try for this one because I love Spider-Man. We'll see what happens here. So they made you send in a lot of pictures of yourself and just like your measurements and like your age and stuff like that. There was like an age limit. I was on the high end of that age at the time. I was not a high schooler. I was like already 24. But yeah, so I just sent in my stuff. Didn't really think anything was going to happen because my wife only got to shoot for like a day, and it was just a couple hours for that little scene. But then they called me out for a couple weeks, and I actually got to go in ahead of time to shoot a fitting. And I brought all my clothes out of my closet, and they had to like pick out the clothes for you. They had to pick out like 5 different school day outfits, one for each day. They had to pick out a homecoming outfit, like a suit, tie. They picked out some swimming trunks for the party scene at Liz's house. I don't even know if that makes it into the movie. If the pool's even there, if you can even see it. We had to pick out that. We had to pick out, like a good 7 or 8 outfits.
And you said there were lots of things that you saw happen on set that you expected to see in the movie somewhere that weren't there. Like you told me that they shot so much, it looked like it should have been a 4-hour movie.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like, I mean, I'll probably be talking over a lot of stuff that's not school stuff because the school stuff in this movie only takes up like 10% of the movie, even though we shot for like 2 weeks, like all day, like 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. It was crazy.
As if that was its own movie or something.
Yeah, it was nuts. And they were also really bad at getting stuff done on time. Like I remember the first day they had like 4 scenes they were supposed to get done, and they only got 2 done. So they ended up calling us back the second day when we weren't even supposed to come in.
See, I had that same thought. That guy absolutely does look like Tom Hardy. One of his henchman guys totally looks like Tom Hardy.
Yeah, he's his twin. He's in Prometheus. That's what I first saw.
Writer, this is something of a perplexing comment. He says, this does not line up with the Civil War scene. I'm not sure what Civil War scene we're talking about because this scene takes place immediately after Avengers. This is when this is after the incident.
Yeah, this is 2012, which is why the timeline doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and actually, since you mentioned that, I'll just comment on this here, okay. Because I was going to bring this up later when we get there, but I may miss it. So, it has been, Feige, I guess, has, like, pseudo-officially, like, retconned the timeline in this because they realized they got it wrong. So the whole 8 years later, the thing doesn't make sense. That means this should be happening right now, and that would actually be in the middle of the blip, which is hilarious. So, wow. It seems pretty easy to just say, oh, well, the 8 years later timestamp at the beginning is just wrong. It should read 5 or whatever, however many years it actually is. But here's the thing. Toombs actually has a line about it later, and I forgot about that. There's a line where Toombs says, it's been 8 years, and that's very hard to retcon. You have a character that came right out and said it.
They must have had to put that because he says that.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
Isn't that weird?
Crazy that big of an error got through.
That's a pretty massive error, I've always thought.
Especially because we were so careful not to use any dates until Civil War. So they should have been like, okay, now we're using dates. Let's
being right after Civil War, that's when you're really that's when you should be really careful about it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But
Blue Dragon 5, Cap, I think he might have been thrown off by DJ mentioning Civil War with his story earlier. No, Ryder, I meant the scene where we actually go back to the airport battle. Oh, okay, we're just not there yet, so I wasn't sure what you're talking about.
Yeah, we're about to get to that.
Yeah, we can talk about that, whether or not that seems to line up.
That always bugs me, by the way, that it crops to like 4:3, just so we know it's on his phone. Like, nobody has a phone like that anymore. All phones are widescreen. I don't know why they did that.
And even in 2012, I think that was pretty much the case, right?
Well, it was 2016 when Civil War, so.
Oh well, no, that's true. Yeah.
He had like.
Or whatever year it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Well, if it's 2020, there's no excuse.
Because this is happening right now, apparently.
Yeah. There's an extended version of this on the Blu-ray. It's just like a bunch of more.
Yeah, you didn't know this happened in the future. They didn't even predict coronavirus. Like.
Yeah. Yeah. After he goes to space, he has to learn how to be Spider-Man. It's really mixed up.
It's real backwards, isn't it?
But no, if you don't know why I'm wearing this weird, ridiculous green shirt, you'll see later. This is what they had me wear in the shop class scene when I'm welding.
Is that officially what the supervillain the welder wears? He's got this like hideous pea green shirt. Well, actually, that's not hideous. I like that shirt. It's fine.
Heat resistant. It's like a jacket. It's supposed to keep you from getting burned. I also had gloves on the set, which I didn't buy, but maybe I should have, just to complete the ensemble.
People wanting us to talk about the classic Spider-Man theme, of course, and I've talked about this before, but God, I love that they used that. I love that it wends its way into the soundtrack a little bit. Putting it in, I think it does some, right? Putting it in that opening is awesome, and then we just totally lose it in the sequel, and I don't understand that. And we used it all over the advertising for that, too, and it kind of hurt my feelings that we dropped it. Because immediately that goes, we're doing lighthearted Spider-Man, and we've not forgotten our roots, and it's really just making a big deal out of, like, Spider-Man is quintessential Marvel, and hasn't it been weird that he's not been here? And so it's just making a really big deal out of, yeah, guys, finally he's here, and it matters, and it kind of just makes the tone of this whole universe work better.
Yeah.
Fills in something that was missing.
So here's the Civil War stuff that people are talking about.
Daniel Davis says this score is Giacchino on autopilot to me. Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily one of his best scores. I wouldn't say autopilot. I like the theme fine. Not the classic Spider-Man theme, but the main theme for the Homecoming series. I think it's fine.
It's fine. Yeah, I see what he's saying though. Brilliant. I guess fine. I mean, autopilot. Maybe he just means it's just fine. I don't know. It doesn't stand out to me like the other Spider-Man movies. It's not like a hummable theme that I can sing. But yeah, the opening is awesome with the classic Spider-Man song.
Draco Eris 999 Super Chat. Thanks a lot. In my opinion, Tom Holland is handled better as the character in the other MCU films than his own solo Spider-Man films. What do you think? The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is my favorite Spider-Man film. I don't agree with that. I mean, I think he's best so far here than he is anywhere, and I think that he's pretty consistently characterized throughout, but I kind of wish he could have been introduced on the ground in his own movie before Civil War, and I get why they did that, and it was good business, and it was really smart, but like we were talking about earlier, it's kind of backwards. But just as far as, like, the character portrayal, I don't know, what do you think? The Welder? Like, I think he's...
Well, that guy is the worst.
I think it's pretty consistent.
In all my classes, he gets straight A's. He steals the thunder from me every single class. No, I actually have a weird thing with Tom
They make
Holland
movies about him. He's been in 4 movies already, and the Welder's only been in 1, and you blink and you miss him.
Oh man, yeah, you're really gonna blink and miss me in Spider-Man Homeless, the tiny cameo in that one. But I don't know. I haven't rewatched the Avengers movies with him in it as much as I want to yet. So I love him. This is my favorite of his, by the way. But I do think he's like perfect in the short little bit he is in Civil War. Just like when he's in the suit wise, I don't think he ever gets like quite that fully embodiment of Spider-Man in the suit as he does when he's swinging around with Winter Soldier and Falcon. For me, I don't know, that really got me in the theater. Like, I was, oh gosh, we finally got like perfect Spider-Man. And they have to take him back a little bit here. He can't be that good in the suit anymore. He can't be like, he's beating up Winter Soldier and Falcon in that scene, but now he's like swinging and smashing into the ground. Like they have to set him back a little bit.
Yeah, I think they're trying to play that. They're trying to use the getting past the training wheels protocol as the plot device for him not being as good in the suit. But even before that, he's not as good. Like, yeah.
Yeah. You'll see he like swings and just smashes into the ground for no reason.
That's a good point. Yeah, if we're just talking about the stuff in the suit, that's true. But again, I would argue that while it was great to get to see Spider-Man like move so much like Spider-Man, like the Spider-Man you always knew and loved, I don't know. I think it makes more sense that he is the way he is here than in Civil War. Like, yeah. I don't think he should have been that good in the suit yet.
Yeah, definitely.
But it doesn't make any sense that Tony Stark would have recruited him at that age. That's a conceit that I have a hard time with. I like their relationship. I don't have the whole Iron Spider kid or the whole Spider Kid thing that a lot of people have. But it does seem like a misstep on Tony Stark's part. Like, let's go after a 14-year-old kid. It's so weird.
So this is Grady High School here in Atlanta. This is where we shot. The principal there, when he caught that drone, actually cut up his hand and had to go to like first aid to get his hand fixed. I remember that. Wow. Because I actually wasn't in that scene, but we were waiting in the hallway and he came running out and they had to take him to like the teacher's lounge to get him fixed. So this is the hallway we shot pretty much all the hallway scenes in. I think all the hallway scenes. This was the first day when we were supposed to get like 4 scenes done. We only got a couple scenes done. They divided us up and they shot all the scenes on this side of the hall pointing that way. And then they flipped it around, brought all the other kids in, the other half of the kids, and then we shot the stuff going this way. I mean, they'll cut in between it this whole time, but that's how we did it. It took all day long. And they as soon as I got in there, they put me into this group called the Homecoming Kids, and I was supposed to be in this scene right here with Liz, you know, the slow-mo scene, right there. That's Katie. The girl behind Liz and Betty is Katie. I was with her and 2 other girls. And we did this scene a couple times. They're like, this is the slow-mo scene where you first see Liz. And we ran it like a bunch of times, and it wasn't working. So they eventually just dropped a couple of the kids out. So I got booted out of that scene. So Welder did not make his first appearance at the beginning of the movie. But
how many times will you be able to actually point yourself out?
Probably only a couple times in the movie, and then there's a couple deleted scenes that I'm in. We shot a cafeteria scene that didn't make it in the movie, and then the homecoming scene, which I'll talk about. We shot a ton of stuff at the homecoming dance, and then it ends up being like nothing in the movie but like 10 seconds because it's such a meaningful, powerful moment where he just walks in and leaves. I don't know why we shot so much goofy dancing comedic stuff for the homecoming scene. It was really weird.
Well, and you posted a high-res still at one point of the welder, like, doing his welding right behind Tom Holland.
Yeah, you'll see.
Is that actually in the film, or was that from a deleted scene?
Well, that is... Well, the director's in that. That's actually a behind-the-scenes footage that I found on the Blu-ray. They have, like, a photo gallery. They still have a photo gallery on
I was going to say, because it looked like a promotional still or something.
Yeah. Well,
the way when you posted it. Tom, $5 super chat. Thanks, man. I know it's Civil War, but one of the shots looked like he's talking about from the footage from the beginning. Looked like a tourist spot from a city in Far From Home, and the welder will rise again. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what he's talking about.
Yeah, I'm not sure what he's getting at with the Civil War stuff, but yeah, one of the coolest things about this was getting to meet Tom Holland. Everyone who I met Tom Holland. Said he was great. Said he was a super class act. Just like thanking everybody for coming out, like apologizing to everybody when he messed up his lines, like shaking everybody's hands, being super cool. And I had the same experience in the shop class scene, which I'll talk about later. But yeah, it was a real weird shoot. Holding was the cafeteria, so we just sat in the cafeteria all day until they needed us, and we actually had lunch. All of the cast had lunch with us except for Tom and Jacob. They kind of, I think, went to it.
That's one of my favorite moments in the entire movie is when that kid plays with the bell and he goes, "That is false." And then the teacher says, "What have we talked about with using the bell for comedic purposes?"
He is from Incredible Hulk. That's right, Stussy. He has a little cameo in Incredible Hulk too. That's Martin Starr. He had a ton of comedic stuff that they cut out of the movie. There's like there's a deleted scene that's like a montage of all his like dating advice and jokes just like cut together. It's like 3 minutes of him just like riffing. I don't know when they thought.
You talking about the teacher or?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that guy's an improv comedian, right?
Yeah. We shot a lot of stuff with him in the Homecomings dance scene, which I can't imagine they ever thought they were going to use.
I'm going to go so far as to say the kid with the bell should have been a Power Ranger. Mutale, Cap, if they made the Sony Marvel deal after not making Spider-Man 4 instead of doing the Amazing films, how different would MCU Spider-Man be? Yeah, hard to say. Because I mean, at that point, you get into kind of butterfly effect questions like, how much. I would argue the biggest difference, assuming that somehow this still happens, right, is I think perhaps we would not have avoided mentioning anything about Origin as hard as we do.
Yeah, that's true.
That's probably the biggest thing, because since you had 2 franchises right back to back, because you rebooted so fast and you did Origin twice, it became like Spider-Man became a huge butt of jokes about Origin, where it was like, oh my god, could we please stop doing Uncle Ben? And MCU took that to heart so hard that we don't even mention what his origin at all. So we don't know for sure, even to this day, what exactly happened. We're assuming that there's an Uncle Ben because Peter in this movie has a line about, like, all the stuff Aunt May has been through lately. Like, that's the closest we get. And then the next movie, we'll see his initials on a suitcase or something. But that's it. So, yeah, I don't think that would have happened if the Spider-Man 4 thing would have happened. And also, you wouldn't have used the Vulture. Because that's who the villain for 4 was going to be.
Wow. Yeah, who would you have left?
We probably would have done Mysterio first, would be my guess.
It's so goofy that they put that, like, slow-mo flag scene in the trailer, and then you get here, and it's just a goofy scene where this guy's yelling at him to do a backflip, which is so realistic, by the way, because anytime someone finds out you can do a backflip, I know from experience, everyone just shouts at you to do a backflip. It's really annoying. Or even if they find out you just do martial arts, they're like, do a backflip. I'm like, that has nothing to do with martial arts. What are you talking about?
And yet, you can do them, so that somewhat vindicates that. Not that it's not annoying that they say it, but just that, like, okay, but if they're assuming that you can flip because you do martial arts, I mean, you can, and you do martial arts, and it's not because of some other thing you do. You're not in some kind of other, like, acrobatics or aerobics or anything.
I'm big into aerobics.
Backflipping aerobics. I don't know why I said aerobics. Shut up. Spider-Man do a flip is great. It's still not quite as good as he stole that guy's pizzas, but it's been great.
Stole that guy's pizzas. Lucas Green asks, so DJ is part of the MCU? Yeah, man. I was blipped. So, well, that wouldn't make sense because I'd have to be still like 17, even though it's been 5 years later. No, I wasn't blipped. I made it out.
Yeah, no, we have to treat the welder as important enough that he wasn't blipped, because none of the kids got blipped. It's one of the goofiest things about Far From Home.
Except for that one random kid, or one kid in Far From Home is.
Yeah, because like, they had a token kid.
Token old kid.
Yeah, that we've never seen before.
Up like this, like they do in the comics all the time. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, all that iconography that we hadn't seen in movies yet, and some of which we were kind of maybe afraid to try in live action. This movie does unabashedly. It's fantastic.
I know him. I'm big fans of him. He's another welder. We get it. We're at the conventions.
Who's that?
I don't know. Just some guy welding the
you're a couple seconds ahead of me. Sorry, we were still outside when you said that, and I was like, "What is he talking about? Who's welding right now?" Mr. Roboto, $2 super chat. So maybe Uncle Ben getting shot on loop, then Cap.
Ugh.
I don't know what you mean. Are you are you making fun of me for suggesting that they need to like mention it so that we just know for sure what the status quo is? Yeah, we all know Spider-Man's backstory, but you've got to still put it in there somewhere, even if you don't spend a lot of time on it, just so that you're playing fair with the audience and we know where we stand with it, right? And also keep in mind, it's not like it's exactly the same in either of the first two franchises. Like, it happens differently. And we're changing up stuff hardcore in this movie. We're reinventing characters. We're giving characters different names. We made Gank Ned Leeds. Like, Uncle Ben could have been anything. He might not have even been named Uncle Ben. You don't know. MJ's not Mary Jane. Like, but I just don't know what you mean about putting it on a loop.
Yeah. So this is straight out of Ultimate, which is cool.
Yes. Yeah. It was cool when I finally got to that, because everybody had always told me that this was out of Ultimate, and then we reviewed that, and I was like, oh, okay. It's so sad when the deli goes.
Oh, I know. We just met him one scene, but he's so likable.
And right after Peter said, because I love that part where the guy goes, you don't want to end up like me, and then Peter just looks around and and just says, this place is great. Like, he would not mind growing up and being that guy, and then like minutes later we see that place blow up. Ugh. But he's so sorry, that's what I was trying to think of. He's so authentic in that scene with how much he loves that place. It's really sad.
Yeah. He's great. Stays in character really well. Like, he was in the whole time we were with him in the scene, he kept his American accent the whole time, even when he was just like talking off script. It's pretty cool.
Tom, another $2 super chat. Isn't the scene of him eating iconic from the comics? That is a thing Spider-Man does quite a bit. Pulls up his mask and eats things.
He's got to eat.
Not necessarily a churro, just, whatever he gets his hands on. But yeah, I mean, one of the things I love about this movie, of course, is, and Dan and I talked a lot about this too, is just how early Stan Lee a lot of this feels. Like, it's very, updated, 20 teens, early Stan Lee, and a lot of those little details are part of what makes it feel that way.
In a much better way than Raimi did, where he kind of just didn't update it. It just felt like the 60s kind of in the 2000s. They update it really well here.
Oh, so much of the dialogue, especially in that first Raimi movie, feels really weirdly outdated.
Yeah.
And yeah, this does not have that problem.
Hopefully it doesn't have the other problem where it dates quickly. I don't think it's too modern. We'll see. We'll see as it ages, I guess. It's already been 3 years.
Yeah, but then the nice thing is there's a little bit of an excuse in that these are movies that are supposed to take place in a time and place.
Yeah.
So
they can eventually be period pieces.
Exactly. This is not that. It's the Back to the Future thing before it's the DC thing. Before it's generally speaking the Batman thing, where you're trying to make it seem like out of time.
So they don't mess around at all. Like, I rewatched this recently and I forgot how early Ned finds, or not Ned. Yeah, Ned.
Yeah, that
Ned
is Ned.
Finds out. I'm always confused of which one to say, because you can never say Ned Leeds without saying Gank. So
it's Ned Gank Leeds. Gank is his middle name, I've decided.
So yeah, he finds out immediately.
Which is nice because it immediately gives him somebody to talk to. Like, that's one of the big issues with the Raimi movies is that, and one of the things that makes him feel kind of whiny is that he's just, like, always by himself talking to himself about being Spider-Man. And, like, finally, eventually, we get the confidant in Mary Jane, but then they've always got relationship problems. And so, you need just a confidant, and Spider-Man so rarely has that. And so I get why they went to Gank, because Miles from the beginning has that in Gank. And so it's like, well, we'll just give him that. Even though we evoke Miles in the same movie, which I don't know, it's just kind of weird in my brain where it's like, so they want to introduce Miles and maybe eventually get to him, but we've also got Gank. So like, maybe Gank will just be both of their best friends.
Oh man, he has to like get a new best friend after Peter dies.
That's what I was gonna say. Is you kill off Peter Parker, and then Gank's like, "Oh well, you're Spider-Man, and I am by definition Spider-Man's best friend." And guy in the chair.
Oh man.
I'm gonna say something that might come off mean, and I don't mean it that way, because the actor that plays Ned I think is really good. But everybody involved in this movie talked about how green he is, and he he didn't have a lot of experience. I don't know if you saw him when you were on set.
I will talk about that later. Yeah, he messed up his line like a ton of times. Like,
and
it took us
you're
forever.
not the only person I've heard say that. So it's hard for me not to say, and like. I think he's really endearing. I think he gives a really likable performance. The energy is there, but he is lucky he looks exactly like Gank from the comics, or he would not have gotten that role, right? Like, he is cast mostly on the fact that he's the spitting image of that character, not Ned Leeds, but Gank.
Poor guy. No, he's really cool. He was in the shop class scene too. I'll talk about that. I got to meet him. But I actually got to talk to his stand-in a lot more. You know what a stand-in is, right? The guy, they have to stand there while they set the lights up and everything. They have to look a lot like the actors so that they don't have to have the actors sit there all day while they get everything set up.
It's like a stunt double, but it's not dangerous.
Yeah, you just stand there, and you just have to get lucky and hope you look like the main actor. That's actually how we found out that their names were Betty and Liz. So a lot of this, you have to remember, this happened in 2016, the summer of 2016. So, like, we knew, like, there was no trailer out. There was, like, barely any news about this movie. So we were finding out stuff that's not going to sound cool when I tell you guys, because you already know. But, like, at the time, it was crazy. Like, everyone was speculating that she was Gwen Stacy on set, because she was, like, this real small, blonde girl. But then we saw the name tag on the stand-in, and we're like, oh, it's freaking Betty Brant. And then Liz we saw, which we assumed was Liz Allen, obviously. But spoiler alert, it's not. So yeah, a lot of little things like that we got to find out like way beforehand. The guy who was like managing the extras and like controlling us and corralling us and putting us where we needed to be was like a real like cannot keep a secret no matter what. He was just bragging about all the stuff he knew. So he was the one that told me that, not told me specifically, but that I overheard that Shocker was in this movie. The one that was talking about the Guardians 2 scene, where we have Lex Luthor in it. What's his name? I'm forgetting his name at the moment. Michael Rosenbaum.
Rosenbaum, yeah.
Yeah, he was like, oh yeah, we shot with this scene with Michael Rosenbaum on Guardians 2, and he has crystals all over his face. He's like just talking out loud about everything.
We talked about that last time because we did Guardians 2, and we talked about how it doesn't matter that it's Rosenbaum because he gets 2 lines and he's got a glass face.
So this was the gym class scene. He kept screwing up his line. Hannibal Buress could not get the line about Captain America right. Kept screwing up. You can see it on the blooper reel. Actually, they put a bunch of them in there. This was actually not there. It was just a blank TV. Obviously, they added that later when they shot that with Chris Evans. This was what I wish I took home. So I bought this from a Hot Topic, but this is not the one from the set. They gave me one of these shirts on set, and I almost took it home my last day, but I did not. I chickened out. I could have totally done it because it was in my wardrobe with all my other clothes. I could have just like grabbed all my clothes and put them in my bag, but I didn't know if they would like hunt me down.
You were just worried you'd get in trouble.
Yeah, so it's the same. This is the shirt they all got. They gave us hats on this day too, but they scrapped all the hats at the last minute. I don't know why. They're like, no hats. Get rid of the PE hats. There was a lot of last minute decisions. It was like the first Iron Man. Not that bad, but it was a lot of like just readjusting on set. I met a guy named Dylan Field on this. Shout out to Dylan Field. He lives in California actually. He flew all the way out here to be in this movie. Huge Spider-Man fan. He was wearing a fedora the first time I met him on set, and the director just walked up and grabbed it and took it and threw it. He didn't even say anything to him. He just threw it out. They were really specific about what they wanted the kids to look like. Like we couldn't have any facial hair, even though obviously kids have facial hair in high school sometimes, but they wanted these kids to look super young. They didn't want any facial hair. I was 24 at the time. I actually had my wedding ring on while I was shooting, and I remembered at the last minute and like threw it off. Everybody I told I was 24 on set was like, what the heck are you doing here? Why are you you're like an adult. What are you doing on the set? It's like, I don't know. just want to be in a Spider-Man movie, and my job was cool and let me take time off work for this, so it was fun.
That's amazing. So I forget, like, is there kind of a dress code at this school? Because that might have been part of it also, right? If there's like something of a conservative dress code, I just don't remember if kids are wearing like, you know, regular T-shirts and stuff.
I think they are. I think he just didn't like a high school kid wearing a fedora, and like, even though like, he was a high school kid, most of the people were high school kids, and actually from the high school that this was, Grady High School. Like, some of us came from other places, but
I think it's somewhat ironic that the guy you met from California had to come to Atlanta to shoot a Hollywood movie, some of which probably shot in California. I don't know if any of this movie shot in California.
I think it was just New York and here, because we have one of the third biggest studios here, Pinewood Studios, which he also got to shoot at here. That's where they shot the DC stuff. They had this big DC like scale monument. It only went up like 20 feet, but it was like as wide as it, which is crazy.
So they never actually went to DC? They shot none of that on location?
They probably did shoot some of it.
Okay.
Maybe they did, yeah. But they shot a lot of the, like, with people, crowd stuff on a set. So this is the party scene. This house is like a $3 million house in Atlanta. Like, it's...
Wow.
Or no. Like, I don't even know. I think it was more than that. It's like a crazy... They called it the glass house. Apparently it's like all windows.
Well, hopefully no one threw stones. So were you here too?
No, I actually didn't. So I went to the fitting for this, and then at the last minute they cut me from the scene, and I'm kind of glad because it's super short, and like it was like a horrible shoot, a long like overnight shoot, and people were like freezing in the pool and stuff, and I don't even think it shows the pool for like any time at all.
Wow.
I actually know someone who's in this scene that I met completely unrelated. I met this guy, Chris Nato. Shout out to Chris Nato. I was just at a park here in Marietta where I live. And I just ran into him training there. And I started training with him, did a little training session with him. And then it came about that he was an extra on Spider-Man Homecoming. And he brought this scene. I was like, I was on that movie too. He's actually in the Cobra Kai show. He's a stunt guy on the Cobra Kai show. And he's actually getting some speaking roles in the third movie. He plays one of the Cobra Kai kids. Or the third season.
The third season.
He's actually right there in front of Flash. He's the one that laughs when he calls him.
I can't wait for that. That show's been so good. I'm really afraid they're gonna drop the ball in the third season, but I hope not.
I hope not.
Blue Dragon 5. Word is the idea is Aunt May couldn't make the house payments after Ben dies, leading to Peter and her in an apartment. Yeah, it'd be nice to know stuff like that. I just don't think it's hard to get a little bit of that exposition in there without bogging the movie down too much. I've made this point before. Carl Maxey, $5 super chat. The best line in the movie is Tony telling Spider-Man he wants him to be better than him. That's a great moment. I think that's really important for Tony's arc overall in the MCU, and a really good, you know, character parallel of where they are in their lives, but also how different Tony Stark is as a younger guy versus Peter. Not that we ever saw Tony Stark at this age. I bet Tony Stark was insane at 14, 15 years old. But you know, with Tony, you got a guy who had to find his heart. With Peter Parker, you have a guy who has that, but is immature and doesn't have that sense of responsibility. When we're talking about that kind of stuff with Tony Stark, I think Tony's best line is if you're nothing without the suit, you shouldn't have it. I think that's his best line in the movie.
And calls back to, or reminiscent of Iron Man 2 and 3.
Oh yes, of course. Yeah, good call.
So here's Tom Hardy's. Somebody just asked if we have a special edition of the movie. I do have one. I have this one here, which is super cool. Kind of like the collage.
Is that the one I had? That's the one I have. Style. Yep, I've got that too.
Yeah, super cool. I love this release. I wish Marvel did more of these kind of unique ones. They have like a set that they do every time now. That's always the same since they got the Disney style one. But this is pretty cool. I like this one.
First rule of being a superhero: always turn your cell phone off.
Seriously. Just illustrating how green he is, and we'll see here in a second when he just starts Ferris Buellering through the entire neighborhood and just breaking people's fireplaces and mailboxes and stuff.
And then it's a little on the nose when we see that movie playing.
Yeah, I think we all got the reference. You didn't have to.
I didn't, because I've never seen Ferris Bueller, but when I found out what that was, I was like, oh, okay, that's too easy.
That's true. I don't think I even saw. I think I saw Ferris Bueller after I saw this movie, so it wasn't obvious at the time to me.
Dan certainly did. I think that's a movie Dan likes. I think. Maybe I'm thinking of something else.
Shut up.
No, actually, I don't know if Dan likes that movie. Never mind. I think it's something else.
Oh, we'll ask him.
There are so many supervillains in this scene that your casual audience member is not going to realize are supervillains. We have a Prowler there. We have Shocker there.
And that's one of the coolest things about this movie that the sequel completely loses, is all the crazy world building, like so much details about Spider-Man's world, and then nothing in the second movie, just a reference, not even the real character of Hydro Man, just a reference to Hydro Man.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter that it's they called him in the pop figures and stuff Hydro Man, because it's like, okay, it's a hologram of a water creature, like.
Yeah, now they can't even use real Hydro Man, unless what was he going to use? He's going to get his secret identity from that news story about that.
Oh, that'll be great. All the action figures will be Hydro Man 2, and you'll be like, BS, that's ridiculous. But by the second movie, we have almost enough characters to make a Sinister Six already. It's crazy.
I know. Like, in this movie, almost. You just add Mysterio.
We have 4 in this movie, yeah, at least. I guess 5 if you count the Tinkerer, yeah?
Tinkerer, Shocker, Vulture. Yeah, Prowler, he's not really the Prowler.
Prowler and Scorpion, so that's 5.
Yeah.
Because you have Matt Guard in there.
If Shocker 1 didn't die, you'd have a full 6.
Well, that's true, but you wouldn't have Shocker 2 if Shocker 1 didn't die.
That is true.
I want to know how that anti-grav weapon was supposed to work. Well, I guess it came from space. I guess it was a Chitauri thing.
Yeah. That's the Tinkerer's best delivery when he's like, no, it's that one.
That's one of the best, like that's a place where the MCU humor is really working, I think, where, like, we turn that cliche moment on its head, where you always have the villain that, like, asserts his scary factor, like how menacing he is by killing one of his henchmen, and he did it totally by accident, which makes me wonder, does he have it in him to kill anyone? Like, when he threatens to kill Peter and Peter's whole family, like, would he have actually done that? I mean, like, I realize that toward the end he does some pretty dangerous stuff that might have killed Peter, but, like, I don't see, even by the end, this Vulture as a murderer. Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. He does leave him pretty much to die when he leaves the whole roof on top of him. I don't think he thinks
all right.
he can
So
get
maybe
there.
at that point, but that's like a moment where he makes a decision, because I think up to that point, maybe he's.
Yeah, I think he goes through a pretty good arc of just, like, descending into evil in this movie, because he also, like, leaves the ferry with, like, all those people about to die. He doesn't know Iron Man's gonna show up.
That's true. Okay, so maybe he wasn't bluffing when, and like, I don't think he is bluffing. I just think that he certainly obviously doesn't want to kill anyone. That's not.
So I will say, I was one of the ones who was really resistant to the tech in his suit in this movie. After some time away from it, and I guess just living in this world for, what, 4 years now, the last time I watched this, it didn't bother me as much. I guess I'm just used to it. I was just so resistant to it the first time I watched it, because I like Spider-Man having to use his, like, ingenuity and getting out of situations with just his power set and stuff like that. And it seems like he's, especially after he unlocks all the crazy stuff.
Well, I'm going to ask you this question. Would you have... This setting is so preposterous.
The jungle gym?
Would you have questioned it as much if we got a movie where he's doing totally street level stuff without Tony Stark, and then we add that? Because I kind of wish we could have had that.
I kind of wish, yeah, we could have got to see him a little bit. All we do is see that one clip they should play from Civil War where he swings into a bus. I don't know what he's trying to do there, but yeah, I don't know if I could look at that suit the whole time, though. That's a goofy looking sweatpants suit. But you like that, I know, because you love him having an explanation for his actual amazing looking suit instead of
need that. I need it so bad. I don't want the goofy proto suit in the Sam Raimi movie, because then it's such an evolution and escalation to the second suit. I don't understand how he made that on $100. Mr. Roboto, $2 super chat. Thank you. DJ, how long I'm just gonna read what it says. How long your next Spider-Man movie? Is he asking if you're gonna be in another one?
I was already 26 or 24 when I shot this, and the age cutoff was 25. So I don't think I could even do another one. But, I mean, I guess they're aging too, so maybe the age limit's going up. I don't know, but I don't think they're going to shoot another one here. They didn't shoot any of the second one here. It was all overseas and probably on a studio, so I don't think there's any chance.
Spoon Dude, Vulture was not that bothered he killed the first Shocker, though. No, you're right. I mean, the more I'm thinking about it, like, I guess I just love Michael Keaton and in this role so much, and I find him so sympathetic that I want to think, like, nah, he's not a murderer. Like, he does some stuff that you can't condone, but, like, he's not a bad guy. No, I mean, obviously, he is a bad guy, and I don't think he's bluffing when he says that he'll do whatever he has to for his family. That's true. But he ends up being even more sympathetic and almost kind of half endearing when you get to the mid-credit scene and he refuses to give up Peter's secret identity. I don't know if he's doing that because he respects Peter,
or if he just wants to kill him himself,
or if it's just just to get his own revenge. But man, the relationship they have in this is so interesting, in so cool, that kind of like anti Uncle Ben Peter Parker thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge... That's why I like Amazing Spider-Man so much, is I'm a huge father-son guy, and Spider-Man has, like... Or Peter has, like, 4 father figures in Amazing Spider-Man, so...
I just love how much respect and reverence he ends up having for him.
Yeah, definitely.
And then Peter saves him at the end, and he... Like, maybe that's why he doesn't give away his identity. Like, maybe it's just a respect thing.
Maybe so.
Because I think he's being totally sincere when he says, you saved my daughter and I'm not going to forget that.
Stephen Murphy says, I love the Vulture jacket. I love the Shocker jacket also. You see the sleeves?
Yeah, the arms are
so
awesome.
So cool.
Side-scrolling Hero 16, $5 super chat. Without a message, but then a message right under it, so I'll count that as the message. Just curious, is the Far From Home commentary track in the foreseeable future? And with Dan Torrey, keep up the great work. We're gonna have one for Marvel Mania, and DJ and I are doing all of these together, just the two of us. So eventually there might be one with Dan. Or did Dan and I do one? I can't remember. I thought we did one already, but maybe we didn't.
I don't know, maybe a spoiler cast? I can't remember.
We definitely did a spoiler cast, actually in person while I was there. So I did a regular spoiler cast, and then we did a second video with Dan so that Dan could give his feelings. Most of that video is just Dan talking.
Yeah. So yeah, this guy's the worst. I don't know. I find myself wondering, how in the world did this guy make it 8 years?
Okay, no, we don't have a commentary yet.
Messing things up. Like,
are you with me on that? I'm sorry, say that again?
Like, his introduction is him, like, being late to work and, like, Michael Keaton chewing him out. How did this guy make it with this operation for 8 years before he started being a problem?
That's actually really good. Was he there the whole time, or did he pick him up later?
No, he was in the very beginning, because he shows up late. And
because that's the guy that looks like Tom Hardy. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's actually a really good point, where, like, at this point, he doesn't even care anymore. And, like... because the thing is, the operation is doing well, so why does he play as so fed up at that point? Where it's like, yeah, I'm not going to listen to you, I'm going to fire weapons out in the open, maybe I'll just go off and tell everybody who you are. No, that's a really good point. Like, what got him to that point?
I don't know. He's just crazy. He's crazy Tom Hardy.
Eric's Facts 511, Peter didn't save Vulture, his suit malfunctioned. I thought he also saved him, though. Am I wrong about that? Am I forgetting that wrong?
There I am. There's the welder. So this was the scene we shot on the 3rd day that I shot. It was like a hour-long shoot. There he is. See the green jacket, guys? So I actually got taught to weld by Steve. He's the special effects supervisor on this movie and all the Marvel movies since Iron Man. So or at least the MCU ones. So he was super cool. Showed me how to weld real quick. All I did was like weld the same piece of metal back and forth for like the hours that we shot this scene, because I had no idea what I was doing. They just wanted sparks flying in the background. My friend there is Micah, who I met. He was the one on the grinder, just like grinding a piece of wood. But yeah, this scene was really cool. We went all the way to a shop in the very back of the school. The school was huge that we shot. It was like a campus. It was like a college campus, but it was a high school. And we went all the way to the back to this shop. There was the big moment. after I did that scene and they did the handshake, I heard the director like tell Tom and Jacob like, "That looks so awesome. The sparks were flying right behind your hands as you did the handshake." I was like, "I did it! I actually contributed to the movie. Like, I don't care if you can see me in the movie, as long as I did something that added to the movie in some way. That's cool."
Yeah, and when the sparks fly, like, that's a thing. I mean, I know we're talking about like a really minor thing that happens, but it's DJ's big contribution. Like, but here's the thing, and I'm not just saying this in retrospect. When I saw this in the theater, like, I noticed that, and that kind of moment, I'm thinking like, okay, they deliberately must have made sure that happened, right? Or like, not that I thought that it was a special effect they added later, but very often you rig up stuff like that. So the fact that you were just like doing the thing they taught you to do and it happened on accident and then they were excited about it because it adds production value, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool. I was like,
it adds production value.
I'm pretty confident that's going to make it into the movie. If the director calls it out that he loves it, at least that's going to make it into the movie. But that was a really cool scene. Like I said, we shot it all day. Jacob kept messing up his line over and over and over. You know where he says, "That's literally the coolest sentence anyone's ever said"? There you go, I said it. He could not say that line.
Wow.
Like he messed it up like 1,000 times. We kept going back. The director, super patient, like super cool with all the kids. I don't know how he was so good.
I was going to say he's got to be because he's working with a cast of kids.
He was so great. And they just kept running it, and we did it again, and he finally got it. In between takes, Tom was messing around, goofing around with the hammers. It was like a rubber hammer. I don't know if you saw the hammer he was using. It looks like completely like a real hammer, but it was rubber. He hit me in the hand with it. He asked me if I did this professionally, and I was like, no, I just learned 5 minutes ago. I have no idea what I'm doing. But he was really cool.
But I'm really hoping that I actually show up in this movie somewhere, so I'm gonna make it look really good.
He thought I was he thought they brought in a real welder, and I was like, nope, I'm just a guy who sent in an email. But the funny story with Tom, like I said, he was talking to us in between sets, staying in his American accent the whole time. It was really cool. We were in a tiny little set, and the camera was you see where their table is? The camera and the director and the crew were shoved right in front of his table in the wall. It was this far, and they were just tracking back and forth. So in between takes, we would talk to them, and then at the end, whenever they had to leave, they came up and said bye to us. And Tom goes in. You go in for a handshake, and the other guy goes in for a fist bump, and then you kind of just keep switching back and forth awkwardly. That's what me and Tom did. And then finally, we just settled on a thumb wrestling position, both of us, and we just kind of held hands for 10 seconds. And Tom was like, "Let's just stay here for a minute." And then we started laughing, and then he left. So that was my last experience with him. But he was super chill, super fun guy.
That's awesome, goofy. Man.
It was real awkward, but
now you mentioned earlier that they didn't shoot in Atlanta at all for the second movie, but remember that is a globe-trotting film. So, well, not globe-trotting, but they go overseas. So that third movie, they very likely would go back to the school, I would think, unless he's graduated or something.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I assume they're going to use younger extras though, because we've all grown up. All the kids that were high schoolers when I was there are 22, 23 now. Just so weird.
We could get away from the school entirely, even if they stay mostly in New York, because if we actually run with Everybody Knows He's Spider-Man now, he might just not be able to go to school, who knows what your status quo looks like at that point. Jay Pennell, longtime listener, first-time commenter, saw you were live, glad to be here. Thanks for commenting. Lucas Green, 10-pound super chat. It's a shame Shocker 1 died, as he was more interesting, while the second is just muscle. Besides, most Shockers have a mouth. 90s Spectacular PS4 and Shocker 1, but not 2. Kind of a bummer, in my opinion. Well,
interesting.
Sure, if I totally agree with that personally. Neither of them get enough to do that I can say one character is more interesting than the other. At that point, it kind of just depends on what actor you're more enjoying watching, I guess. Or because if you think it's interesting that the first character just keeps going against his boss, how long is he going to be able to do that before he gets fired? So I don't know how long you could run with that.
Yeah, I mean maybe we'll flesh him out a little bit later. He really doesn't get anything to do. But
man.
I wish they had 2. I don't know why they couldn't give him 2 Shockers. In that scene, by the way, when he hits it.
Well, I would assume if we ever use him again, he's just going to make another one somehow, and then he'll have to. Yeah.
But anyway, in that scene, when they hit it, I could see that they were working on a gauntlet. That was actually on set, the prop that they had. We didn't know Shocker was in this yet. But when they hit it and it sets up, they were like, all right, everyone, it's going to set off a shockwave, which obviously didn't happen on set. So we all had to just like do this, and then like Power Rangers or something, and then it zooms in on the teacher and he says his joke. But yeah, so I kind of, because I'm a Spider-Man fan, I assumed that was what it was with Shocker. But then when we got out there, Pez, the guy who was like spilling everything, one of the crew guys. They just had like some younger guys helping out with the crew stuff, and they were asking him who he was, and they guessed something else, and he was like, "Oh no, he's Shocker." Just like blurted it out. So we all knew that Shocker was in it. A lot of this stuff I knew ahead of time, but I couldn't say anything to anybody. Obviously, we didn't have to sign anything. I think we did have to sign some NDAs. I don't remember. But they did take our phones on set. We couldn't have our phones the whole time.
I was going to say, I'd be real surprised if you didn't have to sign anything.
Yeah, we had to. We probably did in the paperwork. But yeah, we had to turn our phones in as soon as we got there. This is actually a hotel in Atlanta too. This is one of the hotels where Dragon Con is, the big convention here in Atlanta.
Oh, cool.
I've been to this hotel for the big Dragon Con convention when I wore my Spider-Man suit. Was that 2015? But yeah, and there's this crazy scene in the trailer. Remember the big trailer scene where the Vulture is in the hotel and he flies up?
Yeah.
And there's this big famous hotel in Atlanta that has this like huge like opening tower thing, and that you see him fly down in that trailer. I don't know why. Where was that gonna go? Was he gonna come to the hotel? Like, what is that?
I don't know how that even makes sense with the story we're telling here.
I know, and it was like fully finished CGI and stuff in the trailer. Like
I don't understand why he would be there that early.
It's crazy. I'm telling you, there's so much stuff.
What would compel him to go even to this city right now?
I don't know. It was really weird. But there's a lot of stuff like that. Like we shot a scene in the cafeteria with Liz. We shot a scene that I think it sets up a little later here. But there's a scene we set up that he has his suit underneath the lockers. All the kids run to class, the bell rings, except for Peter and Ned. And Peter lifts up the lockers and throws his suit under there and hides it. And Ned finds out. He's like, "You have two suits? Can I have one?" And it was a funny scene that we shot a few times, like a lot of times, and we finally got it right. And then it's not even in the movie. I think you just see like a tiny little cut of his suit under the lockers one time, but you don't see the whole scene.
Now that you say that, that actually would have been a setup for a thing that pays off later, because if he says, if he comes out and says he wishes he had a suit, then it's a payoff when he starts wearing the mask and stuff. They're probably setting that up intentionally.
Yeah, I don't know if that would have been before it. No, you're right.
No, that would definitely be earlier, because we're not even there yet.
Yeah.
That would be back at the school before we've come to DC.
That's true, yeah. I'm sure that's why it was in the script.
Not that it needs it, because, I mean, it does seem like a thing he would do. Like, it doesn't have to have that, but it would read a little tighter if it was in there.
Well, it would also set up his suit. I mean, I know we see it in the very beginning in, like, the little film by Peter Parker, but but it would set up that he has that other suit to wear when he loses his.
Which we didn't talk about, but I love all that fan footage stuff, and that it goes on for as long as it does.
It goes on even longer in the deleted scenes, if you want more of it.
Well, wow.
Yeah.
The most impressive thing in that to me is when, like in phone footage, he does that crazy backflip when Happy walks in. Like, that's amazing. That's amazing looking in, like, what looks like handheld phone footage.
Yeah, they did that for real. You can, on the bonus features, I think you can see that they have like a rig on them where it's like a pulley system. Yeah.
That's cool.
They had a crazy rig on that scene I was just talking about. Because he actually lifted up the lockers, like it showed it. They had like this whole thing that they constructed on the back of the classroom behind the lockers that would hydraulic lifted up. Like, it was crazy.
There's actually a scene where he does it. He does it in one place.
Yeah, you'll see it, but it's super quick and it's just like a straight down look of what's in it. It doesn't show like the whole thing of him lifting.
I don't like it. It looks real fake to me. Like it doesn't look like a character lifting lockers. It looks like a trap door, right? Like it
probably. I mean, but
it looks like Peter, like Batman, like built a rig in the school that nobody's supposed to know about, and then like looks around and hopes somebody sees somebody lifts it up. Like, that's what it looks like.
It's probably like a physics thing, right? Because it was real. Like, they actually lifted all the lockers, but it's probably just like it doesn't look like one person could lift Like it
even
looks
with
like
super strength, no, it's in the performance. It's that the way he lifts it, it looks like he's lifting a thing on rollers. It doesn't look like he's lifting a, you know, like a shelf or a thing of lockers like you would lift the. Even if you like had that much super strength, you would lift it differently than the way he does it.
Yeah, his strength, Spider-Man's strength is always like kind of all over the place. Sometimes he struggles to lift stuff, and sometimes he's super strong.
Yeah, Tom Welling had that problem too, so it's fine.
Matter phase shifter. You know, like you do.
Yeah, but don't you like that Peter has lines like that and he doesn't come off like a super genius? Like he's smart, he's good at math, but he's not like Wesley Crusher. Like he's not like a super brilliant.
That's what I was talking about before when in Civil War when he's talking about like, whoa, you have a metal arm, like that's super cool. Like that sounds like Peter Parker to me. Like he would be into all this nerdy stuff in the middle of fighting like the Winter Soldier and.
Yeah, and the terminology would be different than if he was like Tony Stark and was a born genius or like went to school for this stuff, right? Like, you know, he's intelligent, he understands a lot of things that other people might not, or he's just done a lot of thinking about these things, but he would talk about them differently. Stussy talking about the lockers, he says it's the door to an underground subway where his dad is hiding.
No, that's the third movie.
James123, have you guys heard of Spiderman Ps4 remastering, changing the face of Peter? I don't know why they did that. It looks like they did it to try to make him look more like Tom Holland, and I don't like it. I will definitively come out and say I don't like it. I wish they hadn't done that.
Yeah, it's interesting. It definitely. That's the first thing I thought of when I saw it. It's like, whoa, it looks just like Tom Holland with his hair down. But yeah, I don't know.
Why would we try to make that character look that much younger? He's not in high school. Like, he's like a 20-something Peter Parker. He looked fine already. Why change that? I don't understand it.
Yeah, I don't know. There's the image I got for the thumbnail. That awesome hammock. That's so cool.
Somebody gave you credit for that and said that your thumbnail looked better than the poster for this movie.
Thank you, whoever that was. I don't know if that's true at all, but boosting my ego. Getting on the well. It might have been
Mutale. I can't remember. Carl Maxey says none of us likes it. Is everybody upset about that? I haven't talked to anybody about it. I just somebody sent me that, and I looked at some of the footage and I was like, oh god, that looks terrible.
So this scene is basically here to get him to be fully where we want him to be with the suit. Like we want to have this super tech suit, but we don't want to build him up over movies, so we just want to have him like locked in here for 12 hours so he can master everything.
Well, it's also so that we can get some comedy mileage out of his not having figured it all out yet.
Yeah, and so he can talk to Karen a little bit.
Boy, we wouldn't have used that name if this came out this last year.
My wife and I talked about that when we watched this. We're like, whoa, that's a weird choice.
Retroactively.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I feel bad for every person named Karen that I know.
If you want to hear more about that, watch After Dark on Patreon.
Oh yeah, we did a whole segment on Karen, didn't we? Because I didn't understand what it meant. I kept hearing people say that, and I hadn't figured out what that was. Now I understand it. And it is a phenomenon that is prevalent, and I understand why we came up with a name for it. But anytime we do that with people's names, I always feel bad for anybody named that. Like,
yeah.
Does the number of girls named Alexa go up or down, right? Like
Alexa. I've never known an Alexa. I've known an Alexis. So here he is doing science stuff. It doesn't ultimately matter because they just open it up anyway when they come in for work, but at least he's trying.
But it's fine because he's being proactive. He's trying to no, this is how real life works. We've talked about this before. Real life is like this. You try to figure out a thing, you get really close, and then something happens. It makes it feel less contrived when things work out for you also, because you didn't just sit around and let the story happen to you.
Yeah, I guess he did get out, but it was just the truck was coming anyway. So he did do it. It's just funny.
Oh, yeah, okay. Mutale, don't name your daughter Karen, Cap. No, I have no intention of doing that.
So we haven't talked about Flash at all. Very interesting take on Flash. you kind of have to if you're going to send Peter to Midtown School of Science and Technology. You're going to have a nerdy Flash. So he's kind of a nerd too, but he's still a bully, which there's bullies in all kinds of life, so that makes perfect sense. There's nerdy bullies. But he was cool on set. Tony Revolori. One of the cool things about having like all these like new actors that weren't really big yet was that they were like super cool. Like I said earlier, Tony Revolori and all the other cast except for the main two ate lunch with us in the cafeteria, which was the holding area for that first school. I haven't even mentioned that we shot at 2 different schools yet. We haven't got to the second school.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, actually the cafeteria was in a separate school, the second school. But yeah, they all ate lunch with us. They were all super, obviously down to earth because it was like a lot of their first movies, except for Betty was in Nice Guys.
Yes. Yeah, she's awesome in that. So,
yeah.
Real quick, I want to interject because this is one of the couple points I wanted to make. I had forgotten that the teacher guy does call MJ Michelle in one scene. Before the movie came out, we knew that this character's name was Michelle, and a lot of people speculated that she was Mary Jane, but then that was supposed to, like, quelch that and make people go, oh, she's not Mary Jane, and then it turns out that she is, but a reinvention. But I didn't realize that that name stayed in. She's... The M stands for Michelle. I don't know what the J stands for. Maybe it's a last name. I don't know.
Junior.
She's Michelle Junior.
Oh, he's gonna lose that backpack too. But
someday Monkey won't play piano song.
But yeah, this is crazy. This I didn't get to go to this. This was the Pinewood Studios stuff. Obviously, they shot some stuff on location too. But one of my friends, Tall Dylan. Not regular Dylan, who I talked about earlier, but Tall Dylan, he got to be on the scene. His aunt is actually Tammy Smith from Tammy Smith Casting, so he got to do a little bit more. He said that they got to stand and get like a 3D scan of him for like CG purposes, so they made like a CG version of him and a lot of other extras to be in this scene because they had to use a lot of people. He said they actually filmed like all this stuff where they're running from the monument because they had like a life-size monument built there.
Oh, they actually give us that? It's Jones? I didn't realize that. Everybody in the comments is saying it's Michelle Jones.
Michelle Jones.
I didn't know
that sounds familiar, but I don't know why I know that.
Yeah. Carl Maxey, the M stands for hope. Oh, Carl.
The J stands for hope. A run up the wall. Like, playing Spider-Man games ruins this for you because you can just run up the wall in the Spider-Man games, and he's, like, trying to crawl.
Well, he just doesn't know he doesn't understand the physics yet. He doesn't know he can do it.
He hasn't unlocked that
down the road
in his move tree yet.
Yeah, he's got to get some more backpack tokens first.
Oh man, but I totally sympathize with him when he's at the golf course and he can't swing. He's like just running because he has nothing to swing on. That's hilarious. Happens every time you go to Grand Central Park in the Spider-Man games. Except you can swing on trees, usually.
Those spider drones are a thing that we do in comics a lot these days.
Spider drone looks ridiculous, by the way. It looks straight out of Spy Kids 2. It looks so goofy.
Yeah, I'm with you. But that's like a Dan Slott thing, right? I think Dan Slott did those a whole lot.
Yeah, maybe so. I mean, I don't have a problem with him having it. It's just, it looks goofy. It's like they had to make it like an actual insect-looking thing.
Yeah, Tony got really overzealous with all that.
Yeah, Tony was up like all night, all week. He's so excited that he got to work on a different theme for a suit.
Ren says, or he can web zip up the wall. It's faster. Maybe he hasn't unlocked that yet either. Now, to be fair, he is having issues right now with his webbing where he, like, I don't think we've gotten past that point yet where he's figured out all his webbing, right?
No, that's what he learned that in the warehouse. He's got his stuff now.
Oh, okay. He
was trapped
I couldn't remember if there was another scene where he's like, quit changing the webbing.
That was the scene right before the warehouse when he was like, electric webs, and it was like, what? Or taser webs or whatever. He couldn't get it to work. I mean, funny that we have a taser web joke right after taser face in the MCU. Big taser fans.
Taser phase! James123, do you guys think Spider-Man doesn't really face any consequences in this film? No, I don't. I mean, I think he does. I mean, he gets his suit taken away from him, and he would never have gotten it back, and maybe would have decided to not even try to keep being Spider-Man. I mean, I don't want to think that he has to have that suit in order to be Spider-Man, but that was such a, like, you know, crushing thing for his self-esteem and stuff that, you know, I imagine if he hadn't done the right thing at the end and gotten that back, he probably doesn't continue, you know, being Spider-Man. I can see why you might complain that he doesn't suffer enough consequences, but
yeah,
that third act is very difficult for him. He almost gets crushed alive, like.
Yeah, and I don't feel. I mean, he loses the girl he wants to date, but
Yeah.
she's gonna leave anyway. She's a senior. She's about to leave for college anyway, so I guess that's not that big of a deal. But I would say I don't necessarily have this, but I could see you having.
Yeah, but they weren't going to move out of town, though, DJ. He still could have dated her. They moved out of town because the Vulture gets taken to jail. But, like, that's more on the Vulture than it is on Peter. Like,
yeah, but I mean, I don't believe that a girl's going to go off to college and stay with her sophomore in high school boyfriend that she just started dating. But anyway, the thing is, like, his friends all forgive him super quickly and super easily. He just gets lucky that they still win the decathlon even though he ditches them. So
yeah,
he might get off a little bit easy there, but that doesn't kill the movie for me or anything.
Yeah, that's a good point you're making, that he doesn't get the girl at the end, though.
Yeah. But he gets another girl.
Or at least we're building to he will get another girl, yeah.
Way too quickly in the next movie for my taste.
Oh, you think?
It just gets... It like, immediately they're into each other in the next movie.
Well, I mean, she's already into him. She has that bit where she's in denial and says, I'm not obsessed with him.
Yeah, and maybe it's the thing where, like, high school boys, like, they don't see you that way, but as soon as they find out you're into them, they're like, oh yeah, I'm into you too. Like, maybe that's realistic.
Yeah. Especially if you're, like, super nerdy and don't think girls are going to be interested in you and you're, you know, sort of desperate.
Yeah.
Spoon Dude, I love how proactive Peter is in this movie. Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man pretty much. Well, yeah. Never tried to track down his villains besides Sandman. No, he's basically Spawn Goes to High School. And even then, he just stood by a police radio. Yeah, it's true. He's not trying stuff. This Peter is really inventive and would be even without the suit, certainly.
This Peter to a fault is proactive. Like, he will not stop. He just keeps going.
Well, yeah, and I mean that's his character arc, right? That's the place where he parallels earlier Tony Stark, but just not to that same level where he's really impulsive and he's too overzealous.
I like that's another subtle humor thing that I don't even think is supposed to be like laugh out loud funny, but he's about to say like this villain one-liner like, I'm gonna kill him, I'm gonna find him, and then like he gets cut off immediately. He's like, found him. He's right there on the TV. Like, that kind of stuff is good writing.
Oh, he could have gone off on a whole monologue. That could have continued for 5 minutes. No, I'm wrong about him. He definitely would kill people if he really had to. He just ends up not having to very much.
I don't know what you're talking about. He's horrifying.
No, he's pretty horrifying. Well, especially when he threatens to kill Peter in the car. That's my favorite moment in the whole movie.
This is funny. So he gets a lot of... We haven't talked at all about these, like, little... Yeah, I'm a couple seconds ahead of you, but yeah.
Not again.
Yeah.
Oh, I just love how awkward the newscasts are. It's the best.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. We haven't talked about those at all. Those are great. And the only time you'll see us, like, homecoming dancing, that's where they use the footage for that. We shot so much homecoming dancing. Like, they had this dolly shot that went, like, around the whole gym. There was only, like, a couple hundred of us, and they had to make us look like we were, like, 500 students. So they had to, like, crunch us all up and move us over to this corner and dance a little bit and then move us over to this corner and dance. Like, and then none of it's in the movie because it's a super somber scene. I don't know what they were thinking with that stuff, but yeah, that was awkward.
Maybe they were... Okay, I have a theory. Because you said that when we made a video about this before.
Yeah.
And I had this thought. I bet they were thinking about maybe doing a montage.
Yeah, like where he's like kind of just like with a song. You mean like a music?
Yeah, they do like a slow dance montage, like you do like you do a lot in Smallville. So you got detention.
Well, we didn't do it. Dude, I love this. I just noticed this on my last viewing. There's twins in there. What do the twins do? Do you see that?
What do those guys do together?
Like mischievous Harry Potter twins that get into shenanigans.
Yeah, and with the garb they're wearing, they look like they just broke out of a prison.
Twins don't dress alike. I'm gonna ask Connor about this. I don't think they dress alike in high school. I think you're past that at that point. Are you not? They're wearing the same clothes.
Well, I wouldn't think that they would be whimsical enough to be doing that if they got in trouble and they got thrown into detention.
See, there it is.
Those guys seem very complicated to me. Yeah, you see what I'm saying? It doesn't look like he lifted it. It looks like it just slides.
Interesting that they cut that whole scene with that lifting. I guess they thought they didn't need it with that there.
Mutale, I want Captain Logan PSAs. I would love to make PSAs.
While we were shooting the locker lifting scene, I wasn't with the rest of the holding guys. I got bumped into like the stairwell, like alone for like the whole time we were shooting it. And I was right behind the director. He has like a super sweet setup where he has his iPad like rigged up directly with the footage, so he can watch it right there, like right after he shoots it, look at it immediately, and then go right back to it.
Because we're living in the future.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Like, imagine like the film days where you had to like rig it up and watch it.
Well, yeah, do we even have dailies anymore? Do we have to sit through dailies? You can do the dailies right there.
They're minutelies or secondlies.
Well, that's how I shoot. Like when I'm doing narrative type stuff, like I'll look at the footage I just got and make sure it looks all right before I move on.
Yeah, it was really cool. Like Tom would come behind the camera and the director would look at it with him. He's like, "What do you think? Look at this. This looks awesome. Come look at this." It was really cool just to see the process.
Blue Dragon 5, I love how the principal is a descendant of the Howling Commandos. If I knew that, I'd forgotten it. Does that come up?
Yes, that's another thing that got spoiled, or that Pez was bragging about. Like he's playing his grandpa, or he's playing his grandson. It's super cool. So we knew that. We also got to see the big awesome mural that they put.
But where is that? Where are we told that in the film?
I think it's just like on his desk, like his name or something.
Oh, you know what? Is there just like a picture or something?
Yeah. I think his picture of his grandfather. Maybe it's said. It might be said in a short.
That's the thing we do in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. too. We have a character in that. Back when I was watching that show, one of my favorite characters in that show was the descendant of the Howling Commandos.
But one of the coolest things when we first got on set was that big mural with like all of America's greatest minds, but it has like the professor from Captain America and Howard Stark and Bruce Banner on it and stuff. Super cool. They didn't actually paint that on the wall. That was just like painted on wood and like shoved up against the wall.
Stephen Murphy, a British guy faking an American accent, faking a British accent there with the Thor thing, accentception.
Interrogation mode. So in the deleted scenes, he actually calls Miles and says, "I'm not going to make it." Kind of glad they took that out. I like it a little more subtle.
I like Marcel too. I like that he just says he has a nephew.
Yeah.
That lives around there, and it doesn't matter if you know who that is, because if they decided to follow up on it later, then you'd be, oh wow, that's who that is. Okay. And I like how subtle they are with all the supervillains, because if you're not in the know, you wouldn't know any of them. You wouldn't know Scorpion's in this, Shocker's in that. You'd have no idea.
Yeah. Except for Shocker, they do mention Shocker, but yeah. I don't even know if they call him
that's
Vulture.
true. They do name drop Shocker, but they just call Scorpion Garden.
Yeah. I don't think they say the Tinkerer.
My favorite line in this scene is, "I got ice cream." It's so good. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Right there. I like you're a criminal.
I got ice cream in here.
I'm Mr. Criminal. This is definitely a movie you watch with people, and it's much more. It's like really enjoyable.
Absolutely.
So this is something we had to do just because we haven't done it right. Like, we've seen Spider-Man on a train, in the air, underwater. We got to do a boat. Let's do a boat scene.
And once again, like in nearly every other Spider-Man movie, he's got to be like holding the pieces together.
Yeah, that was the big famous trailer moment.
Yeah, but it's weird because that was the famous trailer moment in other Spider-Man movies also. Like, they don't show up in a movie without being in a trailer first.
There's Droney. He could have come up with a better name than Droney.
Tom, $5 super chat. The principal has a picture of the Howling Commando that he played in Captain America. Yeah, that's what I remembered that after somebody brought that up. Yeah. Yeah, thanks, man.
Stop it with the instant kill.
Carl Maxey, I wonder what they will... What they would... Wait, what? I wonder what they'll do with the Tinkerer. I mean, I don't know if any of these characters will come back. Like, I hope so.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to tell after 2, right? Because they just went in such a different direction.
That in some ways that movie feels like a side quest kind of thing, you know. It almost like it is a sequel to this, obviously, but it almost feels like a sidestep thing. Like
Peter grows, but like his world doesn't get to grow at all because he's gone. Like that means
that's
Vulture's
the big
been in prison
disappointment
for
me.
a long time. Like
it feels like a fun extra mission, but not the.
It would be a fun episode of a TV show, but it kind of sucks that that's all we get for like 6 years, you know?
That's the problem, is how much this is a TV show. Well, not 6, but yeah, 2 or 3.
3 years. Well, I mean, like, between the first one and the third one, all we get is that middle side quest.
Oh, I see what you're saying. No, you're right. Yep, like 5 or 6 years. Yep.
Doink. What was that? So I will say that I'm not a fan of the action in this movie. I feel like action is not the director's strong suit. None of this really stands out to me. Like, this is a cool set piece when he's having to get everything back together, but the fighting itself, it also doesn't help that they use they go over Spider-Man with like a completely digital Spider-Man all the time. So it doesn't look great. Because it's the Stark suit, they completely like get rid of all the wrinkles and stuff. So it doesn't look as realistic as like the Amazing Spider-Man 2 suit does.
But I would argue that the action in this is still better than in Amazing Spider-Man 1. And generally looks more real and believable. And is better, I don't know, at least storyboard-wise and on the script, from a script level, it's more integrated, right? Because those always felt like, 2 unrelated movies, kind of.
Yeah.
This doesn't have that problem.
Alone, I think the lizard fight is a lot better than any of this stuff, but I see what you're saying.
I don't know if I agree with that.
That's just such an interesting fight, and here he's just like jumping at people.
I guess I'm fine that we don't have like a big knockdown, drag out fight, though. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's a taste issue.
Yeah.
I don't need like a big fight sequence. I don't know.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about how it fits the story. I'm just talking about like action alone.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Well, and people criticize MCU action a lot, and rightly so. Like, I get that, but
I think it comes with the territory because it's Vulture, so you can't have like he's not going to let him get close to him. He's just going to fly around and like shoot stuff at him. So
yeah, that's why I like this stuff.
But you know me, I always like hand-to-hand stuff.
Yeah, but you've got the wrong villain
we have different sensibilities, you know.
Josh,
about stuff.
$5 super chat. I like that Spider-Man is friendly to everyone in this movie. Really feels like a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Yeah, that's a fair point.
How do you feel about that line that Tony Stark comes right out and says that? Is that too much for you?
I'm of 2 minds about it.
It sounds a little cheesy when he says it, but it's a cool sentiment.
I wonder if I would be more or less okay with it if it wasn't in the trailer. Because I was already questioning it in the trailer.
Okay.
And so I'm not sure how I feel about it. I was like, the trailer already turned me against it.
And bye, guys.
Blue Dragon 5, Sinister 6, plotting revenge for at least 7 or 8 years. When you think about it after this film, I mean, depends on like who encompasses that theme, right?
Yeah, like Vulture and Scorpion are just in prison this whole time. That's a long time. Go gadget web grenade. Yeah, I don't know what to talk about over this scene. We're just watching him shoot a bunch of webs. Good thing he didn't run out.
Okay, well, if you don't have anything, I'll nitpick something. He's giving Karen all these commands, and because it's a big action scene, we don't want too much dialogue. Now she's not responding to anything.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, why didn't she tell him he was 98% successful while he was doing it?
Yeah. And why did she never confirm anything he said? Like, because she did it constantly before. Stephen Murphy said it earlier, but Vulture wings are cool. They feel different from the Falcon wings while also being derived from them. That's a great point. I thought that in the theater.
Yeah, did they ever confirm that they steal stuff from Avengers Tower specifically for his wings, or is it just kind of understood? Like from Falcon's wings?
I thought there was something that made that kind of clear. Or maybe we're just all assuming that. I don't know.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I don't remember now. Blue Dragon 5, from what we were talking about earlier with Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, I mean, the slogan has to come from somewhere for him to write it on little cards, right? No, wrong. It doesn't have to come from... We don't need little cute origins for everything, and that's why... like, I don't think that falls in that Ghostbusters category where you did that stupid, like, spray painting on the wall thing. Like, no, ghosts. Like, somebody had to give you that. But, like, really, he can't just... like come up with that himself and write it on cards. Like it's the same thing. I'm okay with like a little bit of that, but we did that, and then we also do the spider sense thing where he can't come up with spider sense. Like he can't come up with any of that stuff on his own.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Again, with the friendly neighborhood thing, I'm not totally sure how I feel about it, but I wish we didn't do it twice at the very least.
Yeah. So dramatic. I'm going to leave you on this boat, Spider-Man.
We do that with a lot of catchphrases and things in the MCU movies also, where it feels almost a little too self-aware for my taste. And I know that kind of thing, that's the sort of thing that Eric really dislikes as well, where, like, we can't just come out and say Avengers Assemble. We have to, like, lead up to it, and then we almost say it, but we don't say it. Like, you know, that kind of thing. Blue Dragon 5, I mean, for it to be said, period, Cap. But still, no, I don't think so. I mean, like, he did it in the Sam Raimi movies, where it just said Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. They didn't have to make a big deal out of it. He just wrote it down. I don't know.
In the goofiest scene ever, by the way, like, you know who I am. I'm a Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. And he, like, runs away. And
well, yeah, there's that.
Some flowers.
Yeah, I forgot about that. But the idea, like... And I don't even care about the card thing, but just with the point you're making, like the idea that somebody has to say it out loud before you can put it on cards when he's leaving notes. I don't know why though.
No, I mean that's what he did in the comics. In the comics, he just made it up.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. It's a great scene, obviously.
Spoon Dude, I was fine that the origin was not explicitly explained in Homecoming, but by Far From Home, I kind of wish it was established early on. Now it seems too late to bring up. Yeah, exactly. And I still don't like how much we're avoiding it here, but if we had immediately dealt with it in the sequel, I wouldn't, as you say, I wouldn't mind it as much. But it is weird just how hard we're avoiding it. It almost feels like there's scenes cut out that would have done that. And I don't know that that's the case. It probably isn't. But, again, you've got that one moment where Peter's like, with all the things that have happened to Aunt May lately, and I'm like, how hard would it be to say, well, I don't want to put too much pressure on her after the death of my uncle? Like, how hard is it to get that in there? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know why they can't even say, like, the line of it.
Just establish something happened.
Well, in the third movie, Sandman's going to show up, and then we're going to go back to origin.
Right, but it won't feel as much like a retcon because we never established what it was in the first place. So we'll just say this is what what would be great is Sandman shows up and goes, "You're the guy who killed my uncle."
That would be amazing.
You know what it's going to be? It's going to be yet another villain that for some reason is more a Tony Stark villain than he is a Spider-Man villain. Like whoever killed Uncle Ben hates Tony Stark.
Like he hates all elderly people because of Tony Stark for some reason.
Oh man, Blue Dragon 5 doesn't bother me that we gave him a light bulb moment, Credo to live by in a scene with Tony Stark. I'm not sure what that means. Sorry. The Wolverine 1989 20-pound super chat. Thank you very much. Why do you think some fans are more nitpick purists of the source material with this movie than other MCU movies? I have seen even smallest of changes treated as something that fundamentally destroys Spidey. That is a great question. Why don't you take point on that?
Oh, I don't know. It seems it seems very different, at least at first glance. Maybe if I had watched like the trailers for this movie, I would be a little more open to it. I'm not one of these people, by the way. I'm not super against it. It was kind of hard to get through, like super techie Spider-Man who's not on his own all the time, who has like a mentor who's like this unimaginable resources at his disposal all the time to help him and save him. I like Spider-Man being that like on his own, like roughing it, like always struggling, never winning kind of Spider-Man. But it's like I said, I'm getting used to it. I'm not a huge purist about it, and he does get the fundamentals of the character.
Hey DJ, real quick, while we're in this scene, can I just mention this? The principal is played by the actor who played the... I just noticed this on my last watch of this, and I hadn't seen it before, who played Judge Ito in the O.J. Simpson miniseries, and he's spectacular in that.
Oh.
I knew him from something. I was like, wait a minute, that's who that is. Don't you think, regarding the sad face, regarding that super chat and people not liking changing anything about Peter Parker, because like you're talking about the bigger issue, like a pretty standard fundamental Peter Parker thing that has been kind of changed for MCU, but a lot of people complain about things all the way down to like, well, you can't. That's not Mary Jane. You can't do that. Yeah, things like that. I don't think there would be as much pushback if it weren't for how beloved the Raimi movies are from a lot of Spider-Man fans. I think there's a lot of the pushback is, no, we already had good Spider-Man movies. You guys don't get to come in and act like you finally fixed it. I think some of it is the reboot nature of it. And there were obviously people who felt that way about the Amazing movies also. And of course, Amazing 2 was notorious. But I don't think that was, you're not Raimi enough. I think that was just, that movie is kind of a cluster, and people hated it more than I did, but they saw that as like a completely uneven mess. With this, it's I think some of it is because the Marvel movies are so popular, and because they liked a lot of people liked a Spider-Man franchise that existed already.
Yeah, there's that thing. I mean, that's my biggest problem with the Raimi movies. I think they're kind of harmless. Like, I don't actually hate them as much as it seems like I hate them, but I hate the like what they've done to Spider-Man. Like, that is Spider-Man now, even though it's not a good Peter Parker Spider-Man, and everyone thinks that's it. So when Andrew Garfield comes along, he's actually a great Spider-Man. Everyone's like, it's different, it's wrong. So that's what I hate more about the Raimi movies than the movies themselves, actually.
Now, don't get me wrong, you would still get a lot of that purist stuff. I just don't know if people would be as vitriolic as some of them seem to be, or as angry if it weren't for the previous or at least a previous franchise. But you'd still get more of that with Spider-Man than you would with a lot of other characters in MCU, because this franchise made a lot of characters popular that weren't before in the first place. That's the other thing to keep in mind, is that there's not a lot of people with dogs in the Iron Man fight, or the Thor fight, or especially the Guardians of the Galaxy fight. But a lot of people have dogs in the Spider-Man fight. And so as soon as people got skeptical as soon as they decided to put Spider-Man in the MCU, because that's finally a character that they have an image of in their mind. This is what he's supposed to be.
Yeah. And it can be hard to get past those biases sometimes. Here it is, man. Crazy. This was not spoiled for me, obviously, because of course Michael Keaton didn't come to Atlanta and shoot anything with us. So. Well,
I'm glad that didn't get spoiled for you.
Yeah.
This is one of the biggest like what the heck moments in a superhero movie. Really got me in the theater, and immediately I went, okay, that seems a little convenient, but I love it, so I don't care. I mean, I do, but it's great.
I like that he was a little skeptical already in the last scene when he saw him save him at Washington, D.C. He was like a little skeptical that he was a kid at that school because he was on that trip, but he didn't like quite put the pieces together yet until he's in the car later. So that's good.
Well, I guess it's not as bad as you just go to some random house and it just happens to be your arch nemesis. Like, you are limited to fathers of girls that you might date at this school. I mean, there is that. But he didn't necessarily have to have a daughter that was Peter's age either. Like,
yeah. Well, that's why they had to set up the whole thing that it was 8 years later.
It does.
She drew that picture in the beginning, and it was like with crayons. Maybe that's why it was 8. I still hold that it was 8 years later because they didn't want her to look like she drew with crayons like 4 years ago.
And because they want to be. Am I right about this? Isn't part of it that they want to be able to say that that kid in Iron Man 2 with the Iron Man mask is Peter Parker? Wasn't that a thing?
I resist that so much. I hate that so much. I hope that's not real. I heard a lot of people talk about that. Like, I hope that was just Kevin Feige like joking around with people and like egging on fan theories, because that's stupid.
Look, as I always say, until it's in a movie, it doesn't matter. Like, the people making the things can say all they want to, this is canonical and this is true, but until they put it in a movie, it doesn't count.
Because he's not a huge like Avengers guy. He's not like rocking like that kid was walking around with an Iron Man helmet. Like, he doesn't have like Avengers stuff on his walls and stuff. He's not like Kamala Khan in the Avengers game.
Well, maybe he's not as into it anymore.
No, he grew out of it when he almost died wearing an Iron Man mask.
Yeah, exactly.
He's traumatized by it.
Yeah, maybe he's over superheroes already. Like, that was well before Avengers. Like, we didn't have that yet. 2 years before the Avengers. He's already grown out of it.
Cap and I are still waiting to grow out of it. I don't think we will.
Everybody's saying it is a thing. Not until they put it in a movie. Not until they make it explicit that that's who that is.
We refuse to accept it. And everyone knows that what's on Marvel Mania goes. I love his acting in that scene. How he's just like so like bewildered he can't even like keep it together at all. Pete?
Yeah, and that's when he freezes up there, that's really believable. Like, it's really understandable.
That would be terrifying, yeah.
Yeah.
And so confusing. Like, he wasn't expecting that at all.
It isn't just he's constantly nervous and terrible at everything for the sake of easy drama or whatever was the reason we did that in the Raimi movies.
No, we would never do that with a Spider-Man movie.
Let's just have him have no gumption whatsoever. Okay.
Good thing we're not doing the Tobey movies.
He can be in... Yeah, I've done that already. I've already had to look at the angry mob after I made the mistake of leaving Eric by himself for 20 minutes while I went and got McDonald's.
That's amazing that it was on that one.
Has he complained about Spider-Man 2?
That's one of my favorite Marvel Manias. It's great.
Yeah, I still hear about that one a lot, and I just think it's really funny. It's like one of a lot of people's favorites in that series was when I left for 20 minutes. It's great. Somebody suggested earlier that I just want to mention this real quick that that people being such purists about the Spider-Man is like the opposite of what happened with Ragnarok, because people don't know anything about Thor, and so like a lot of people love that maybe wouldn't have otherwise. Yeah, exactly. Like if everybody read Simonson, they might not have appreciated Ragnarok as much.
Yeah, and I've heard people that are like that want like a Masters of the Universe movie, and they're like, and they hear the headlines that they're gonna do it like Ragnarok. Like, no, don't do it like Ragnarok. This has to be serious. I'm like, that's what Masters of the Universe is. But it was fine with Thor.
But it was fine that Thor did it that way with that material.
I know. I'm like, that's why I'm mad at Thor, because they treated it like it was Masters of the Universe. You got.
Oh, it wasn't Spider-Man 2. It was Spider-Man 1. Okay, well, I don't remember where I went and got McDonald's. It was one of those. Oh my God, he's so creepy. I love Michael Keaton so much.
And watching this again, Liz is so annoying. I mean, she's good, but like, if I was Peter, I'd be like, shut up, Liz, because she's like, you were in my house for like 2 seconds. You disappeared, like you always do. And she's like giving all this stuff away to help him realize that he's Spider-Man. So this is a totally different school. I think they shot this in New York.
Quit putting the pieces together because
obviously
for your evil
he was never here, and the gym where we shot the dancing scene is not like front facing like this. It goes into just like more of the school, so it doesn't go right out to the street like this does. So they shot this either at a different side of the school or at a completely different place, because this was not the entrance to that place.
Oh, okay.
But this was at the second school. The second school is where we shot the gym scene, the homecoming dance scene, and the cafeteria scenes. Because the holding center where we kept all the extras was the cafeteria at the first school, Grady High School. So the holding center in this school was the auditorium, where like the stage and everything. So we were sitting in there forever. But yeah, we got pulled out Had to put our suits on, ties on. I actually wore a different tie because I didn't like the tie they gave me at the fitting. It was green and weird. You can't see me in this, but I'm wearing a blue and pink tie.
No, they made it green so that if we were really looking at you, we'd know you were the welder.
I know, I should have kept it. I should have worn it. I didn't even think about it at the time because I didn't know I was going to wear the welder thing.
Yeah, but I don't think we see you anyway, so it doesn't matter. Or did you say that's the other place where we can see you?
I don't know. Do you have the Blu-ray for this, right? Mm-hmm. We might have to watch one of the deleted scenes at the end if you're up for it.
I can't do it right now, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I have the Blu-ray, but I'm not currently situated where I can use a Blu-ray player.
Oh, okay. I gotcha. Yeah, I'm using my digital copy, but they have the extras right on it, so.
I have tried getting a Blu-ray player into my production machine, and I can't do it. I cannot get a codec that works with it, so.
Yeah, I'm just watching it on the Movies Anywhere app that Disney owns everything now. But yeah, so here's where
Blue Dragon 5, such a perfect scene. Oh yeah, no, it's brilliant. It's brilliant on the page, and Keaton elevates it even more. In the theater, I found myself thinking, like, okay, Keaton was already, like, really fun in this role. I'm probably already thinking this is one of the MCU's best villains. But then we get to that scene, and I go, oh, that's why you cast Keaton. Okay.
Yeah, this was everybody. Like, this was the most extras we had on set. Like I said, we're still trying to cram them into one spot, so it looks like there's more than there is. There's Tall Dylan.
You said it was like 200 people.
He's so young, man. This was so long ago. It's crazy.
How many of those people do you still keep track of? Or do you still talk to?
Tall Dylan, regular Dylan, Lauren, Katie I don't talk to anymore. Mainly just a handful. Michael Breath I talk to a lot. He's a big Power Rangers guy. He's the guy that I showed you that has the Ninjetti suit.
We should have him on Morphin Mania.
We should. He's in Oklahoma now. He's an actor.
We should see if he'd Skype in.
We should ask him. I'm sure he would. I told him I was doing this. I told him I got the welder outfit. He thought it was pretty cool. But we actually saw some different versions of that scene too. So many different things with the homecoming dance. We shot so many jokes with the teacher, with Martin Starr. They put me in. I told you that girl Katie that I met on the first day. I was hanging out with her in between the break after we were done dancing for this scene, and they pulled us and they put us in front of this fire hydrant just to cover it up. So we're standing behind Martin Starr and Hannibal Buress while they're doing all these jokes at the punch table for like just back and forth, just riffing, telling jokes, and they just wanted us to stand there and cover it up. This was the day that we didn't eat forever and we were like starving. I remember because we ate like these cookies that were sitting out on this table. They were like super stale. It was really gross. I regret it. Wish I hadn't done it. But anyway, we shot this scene differently. We shot this. He came in and like kisses. I'm really glad we cut it out, but he kisses Liz before he leaves, and it was really awkward, and it was like a completely different feel to the scene.
Yeah, I kind of like that never ultimately happens.
Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, I guess they were just trying a bunch of different things. Also, I didn't mention this at the beginning.
Because we never do that, right? We never have a couple that's never really a couple.
Yeah, and they were really trying to resist that because that was such a big part of the first two series. That was the thing they told us. They're like, there's going to be no Uncle Ben. There's going to be no relationship stuff. Yeah, but then they still tried the
anything they did before to a fault. But that's a place where I think it actually really works. Not just because the other Spider-Man movies did it, but just because it's really typical. It's just like this feels more believable and more like what would really happen
in high school. Yeah, you don't stay with the high school girl very often. And this is one of my biggest.
But also, how hard would it be to even get in a relationship in the first place if you were Spider-Man trying to juggle your personal life?
Yeah, and she's so much older than him. So this is, I hate this. Why is he not just web swinging to where Vulture is? Why do we need to see him drive a car?
Yeah, so Ned can be the guy in the chair.
Like, web swinging is so much faster than driving. He doesn't know how to drive. It's just this goofy, stupid scene. Does he not have? No, he has web.
Does he not have shooters?
He just used them to web up.
Oh, that's a really good point.
I don't know why we do this. If someone knows why we do this stupid scene, tell me, because it's dumb.
But that's a really good point you made, that she's so much older than him. Because that's part of his being unrealistic and overzealous and trying to grow up too fast, right?
Yeah, and I think she's a little too into him. It's almost like it's a little more realistic in Sky High of all things, where Gwen Grayson is into him, even though she's a senior and he's a freshman. But at least, but Gwen's just using him. You find out at the end. Obviously, she's not going to do that here, where she turns out to be a supervillain. But I don't know. I wish she's seen him more as like a friend than she does.
Which is, like, you get to the end and he thinks he's going to get the girl, and then she's like, I never really saw you like that, though. Like,
yeah.
Romello Malone, DJ, what was your favorite moment on the set of Spider-Man Homecoming?
I don't know. I'll touch on that at the end.
The welder?
I mean, yeah, that was the coolest moment, obviously, because I got to meet the actors and interact with the director and stuff. But I mean, that was the coolest scene. I don't know what my coolest moment is. I'll touch on that at the end, I guess, once I've reflected on all this, because I haven't thought about this stuff in
Blue Dragon 5, it's not much, but maybe because he doesn't want Vulture to see him coming. Mr. Roboto,
so he's still a car?
He's still learning to web swing. Like, I don't know. That's all pretty thin. There's just not any. There's not any kind of discussion about it. The big thing is, in a scene like this, the other guy that knows what's going on should be asking the natural questions the audience is asking, and that's why it doesn't work, right? So there should be a part where Ned goes, hey, why aren't you just swinging there? And then Peter has an explanation for it.
Yeah,
the fact that they both think this is the logical way to go, and I get that they're kids, that they're teenagers, but, like, and then somebody else suggested that like, he just, doesn't, he's maybe trying to, like, hold his webs back, and he's not very good at web swinging yet. Any of those things could have been the explanation, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to make up one. That's the thing. It's not like there could be an explanation. That would make sense too. Like, this is his homemade suit. Maybe he can't hold as much webbing. He's trying to save it, but I don't know that.
Stephen Murphy, and that is a comic thing, Thor's magic belt. He's never worn it in these movies. Yeah, I don't know why he just keeps it at the tower, though, and they have to move it. You'd think that, like, when he's not there, he'd probably take it back with him. But maybe not. I don't know. Because they don't live there, right? Like, in the comics, they kind of live there, but I get the sense that they don't.
I have no idea what's going on there, because Thor, is he trapped? Like, doesn't he go back? What's the timeline? Because this happens the same year as Ragnarok, so he's definitely not on Earth.
Oh, that's true.
And he was gone for all of Civil War, so he hasn't been on Earth for a couple of years.
Yeah. I guess he just left it there.
Just hang on to my belt, guys.
There's some adventure where he used it one time, I guess, that we never saw.
That's just a reference. They did a ton of stuff like that in this movie. I think more so than most of the Marvel movies. They really liked getting their references and world building in this.
Because there's also that line where Tony is apparently making Cap a new shield, which I think is really funny. Like,
yeah, how much more advanced can his shield be? It already, like, magnets back to him in Age of Ultron. Like, what else can it do? Can it just fly around?
Well, at the very least, well, you know what? I guess that's a reference to something that happens later, because he does give him because he's already destroyed it.
Yeah, in Civil War it broke.
Yeah, no, I guess that's just continuity. I guess that works.
Yeah, that's just making another one.
Yep.
So that was I don't mind that. That's a subtle enough callback to Spider-Man 1, where he, like, pushes the button, the glider goes right under him, and he jumps over it. Doesn't impale himself this time, but that's okay.
No, I think that's great. I also like that this kind of works like a Goblin glider, because if we ever get a Goblin in this universe, we could connect those things up.
Yeah. I love that jacket. Is that a jacket you would buy?
Probably not. I'm not a big fan of, like, the fur.
I would never have it. I would wear it like 2 days of the year here, because it's like 100 degrees in the fall. So
I just don't think anybody would get it. Where nobody would look at it and go, "Oh, you're the Vulture from Homecoming," and so, like, that's not a style I love. So I don't think I'd wear it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's cool to look at, though, but I don't know if I'd. So I like that how small scale this movie is. Obviously, we've talked about this a lot, but I like that he's just. I mean, it's kind of big, because it has big repercussions, because if he didn't stop this ship, then all of this tech would get sold to people that would be using it for, destructive purposes.
Right. I'm sorry, everything's blending together for me right now. Blue Dragon 5 just said that it's all coming back to me. No, the shield breaks in Endgame. That's right. It doesn't break in Civil War. He just walks off and because Tony's like, yeah. So why is he? So I guess he was making him another shield when they were still friends. but now they're on the outs, so you just got it. But again, that is still kind of a cool continuity thing because he is going to bring... So that means that must be the shield that he brings him in Endgame, right?
Yeah, where it's not like a circle, it's like a different shape thing.
Because doesn't he bring him... No, it's just a regular shield. Doesn't he bring him a shield?
I've only seen Endgame once, man. I can't. My memory is not great on
like
that.
Like out at the farm, like after the 5 years later. I'm pretty sure that happens.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're right.
But no, you're right. In Civil War, it's just my father made that shield. You can't take this shit. And yeah.
How do you feel about that? I always resist like literally playing back audio from earlier in the movie. Like I can remember the theme. You don't have to like literally.
I very rarely am okay with that. I thought you were gonna ask if I resist the spider face thing in the reflection. I love that.
Oh no, I love that. That's cool. I'm talking about like literally playing Tony Stark's line from earlier. It kind of weakens that line because that line was so great we were talking about earlier, but it's like, okay, we get it. You don't have to play the exact line. We know what he's thinking.
I mean, if you really need to give us the motivation, somehow, just the reflection thing is enough, I think.
Yeah, I like it. At least we didn't like show the scene like a lot of things do. Like I hate that. I love Amazing Spider-Man, but I hate that we actually have to flash back and show he has a star on his right arm. Like, yeah, that was 10 minutes ago. I remember that the shooter has a star tattoo on his right arm. You don't have to show me the footage again.
That's just holding the audience's hand and assuming everybody's an idiot. And
yeah, I hate
these
that.
movies don't do that as bad as a lot of other things, but it's in there.
So this is kind of like this is weirdly a heist movie.
Yeah.
Building up to this heist the whole movie. It's the
opposite.
That's
because he's a scavenger.
Like, we're stopping the
vulture, heist. And it's brilliant.
Cloaking panels.
And we've talked about this before, but that's a callback to Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
Do you know about that DJ? That's the idea that the kid in Iron Man 3 gives him at the end.
Yeah, where he says like try cloaking panels.
Yeah, and then Tony says that's a good idea, and then we see it here. But see, that drives me crazy when we have that kind of continuity, like those kind of nice continuity callbacks, and it feels really tight, and then they can't remember how many years it's been.
It was Avengers. It was the biggest movie of all time. Everybody knows it was 2012. How can you not get the timeline right? It makes no sense.
And in multiple points in the movie, you'd think there'd be some point in that scriptwriting process where, wait, he said 8 years. Does that make sense?
Yeah, how did nobody think of that? It's a great script, like.
And then on set, you think of all the places where somebody could have picked up on it, and then you get in the, you on the set, like, the director didn't think of it, none of the actors picked up on it.
Yeah, 8 years ago. That means in 2012, Peter would have been like 7. That's crazy. I think it's just because they didn't want Liz to look like she drew with crayons when she was like 12 years old, and she drew that crayon picture, and then Michael Keaton's like, yeah, pretty good, huh?
Anyway, you slice it, it is not that hard to make this work.
Yeah.
And it be the number of years it should be.
Hot dog.
Stussy, should they have fixed it for the DVD Blu-ray release? The only way you could do that is if you had Michael Keaton come back and ADR that one line. You certainly...
It's been 5 years.
Yeah, you certainly wouldn't want to just have that, fix it in that opening because there's a line about it later.
Yeah, that's weird. I didn't remember that line. That's even worse.
Yep, I didn't either.
I mean, was that their plan to make this like in 20? No, because he shows up in Civil War. It makes no sense. I mean,
no,
I can't
they
think
clearly did not remember that Avengers happened in 2012.
It's
in their minds, somehow it was earlier than that.
Were they thinking like 2008 because of Iron Man? Like, that's the big...
And what's weird is, Happy has a line calling back to the first Iron Man movie, saying, I've had this ring since 2008.
Never mind, then. Unless he was also talking about he got the ring in Avengers, and they thought...
He got the ring in Avengers! Remember when we made that Iron Man movie in 2002? Remember that?
So yeah, like I was talking about before with the action, like this is a fine action scene. It's just not very Spider-Man-y. It's just like airplane crashing thing. But yeah, obviously wasn't on set for any of this stuff.
Well, there was no set for any of this stuff.
I don't even know if any of this is real.
Yeah, any of this that is on a green screen. But
No, it would have been so cool, like if they had shot an action scene in the school, like if they had done like what they did in Amazing. Obviously, I don't want that because of the story they're telling. But like if they had shot like like Vulture shows up at the school and we actually got to be involved, that would have been cool. But
well, no, I would have lost my mind to get to meet Michael Keaton.
Oh yeah, of course, that would have been crazy. And also,
that is a dream, man.
Maybe you can be an extra in the Flash Flashpoint, whatever it's called.
Blue Dragon 5, there were some timelines where Phase 1 takes place within 2 years, but yeah, this 8 years thing was an indefensible goof. Yeah, any way you slice it, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
And I always call back to the Obama poster. That's the thing that makes it where that movie has to take place around a certain time. Well, I guess you could have it any time within that first term. Yeah, so that maybe that doesn't help.
Yeah, it was a long range. It was a good range. Well, yeah, but I mean, 2016 is the first time we've called out that it's been 8 years, and this happens right after that. So weird that they made that mistake right after that.
Mr. Roboto, what does Oklahoma have to do with anything? Are we in Oklahoma right now? Is that...
I don't know. I'm not in Oklahoma.
How is Oklahoma this time of year? He asked. I don't know what Oklahoma has to do with anything.
I mentioned earlier that Michael, who I met on this set, lives in Oklahoma. Maybe he got confused and thought that I was living in Oklahoma. I don't know.
No, he's in Georgia.
Yeah,
they shot in Atlanta.
They shoot all the Marvel movies at Pinewood Studios in Atlanta. It's pretty crazy. A lot of the sets, like I said, the hotel from earlier, the schools, the cabin, Iron Man's cabin in Endgame. You can.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Roboto. He was talking to somebody else in the chat. I didn't realize.
Oh, okay. You can Airbnb that cabin in Endgame right here in Atlanta.
That's on me. Oh, cool.
Yeah, pretty much all the locations they shoot at. Like Wakanda is like that big Wakanda battle in Endgame is shot like in like North Georgia, like these big fields. Obviously, I wasn't in that, but that would have been cool. Be an extra as a. I mean, I guess I couldn't be a Wakanda.
It would, but how are you gonna be a token white extra in the middle of Wakanda? How does that happen? How do you get that gig? Could you guys contrive some reason that I'm here?
Yeah, get this high school student, this white high school student from.
Maybe you could do it in one of the sequels where they have tourism now. I'm here for the Wakandan theme park. I'm here for Black Panther land. I can't wait to get to Black Panther, man.
Yes, I do mean Infinity War, Mitali. See, he saves him. He saves him. We were right.
Yeah. I was pretty sure he saved him. Yeah, see, at least he's trying to, you know.
Oh, he is out of webs.
He is now. Well, maybe it was smart that he drove a car for the first time. I mean, okay, so that could be the reason, but we're not told that. And is he keeping track that well of how much he's got in his cartridges?
Even if that is your reason, don't make that the reason. Because it's a lame scene. Like, just make him have more webs so you can have him swinging. Why has he got to be...
DJ just doesn't want him driving a car in that scene.
Who wants to see Spider-Man driving a car around? That's boring. Especially when we don't get much web swinging in this movie like we do in the other series.
Most of the comedy plays for me, but there's occasionally things like that where it's like, oh, ha, 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 it's a 15-year-old trying to drive a car. Like, okay.
That's a pretty standard, like, high school movie thing.
Yep. But there's way more stuff in the sequel that doesn't land for me.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's going to be interesting getting there, because I still don't know how I feel about that movie. I've only seen it
wow.
once.
Can we both agree that this is a superior movie to that, though?
Oh, 100%, yeah. I didn't like that movie. I think you liked it a little more than I did.
You just didn't like it? Okay.
We'll see if it settles for me like this one did. I mean, I liked this movie the first time, but I like it even more now. I might like that one more the second time.
People are saying in the comments like places that you could have been an extra in the Black Panther movie. But we're talking about specifically in Wakanda, because he's saying that they shot some stuff for Wakanda in Georgia, but they didn't shoot the casino scene there. Stephen Murphy, so you don't want the Spider-Mobile?
Hey, that would have been better. At least it'd be on theme. So I had a lot of weird incidents with having to go to the bathroom in this movie, because we were shooting for like hours and hours and hours, and we couldn't take restroom breaks. And I was like, I was dying. This scene here, you can see me in the very back. I'm in that blue shirt behind red shirt girl, right there. I had to pee so bad during this scene, and we kept shooting it over and over and over, and I couldn't leave. I finally asked one of the crew members if I could use the restroom, and there's one right here in the hallway. Actually, the room that they pretend to go in for the shop class scene is actually the restroom. The shop class scene, like I said, is way in a different part of the school, but I went in there. It's actually the restroom where they shoot the scene with Happy in a few minutes. And they have the blue doors on everything. They actually tore the regular doors off and put blue doors on, or at least painted them blue so it would match the school. Because when I went in to use the restroom, there was no doors on the stalls. I was like, what in the world? It was like they were doing construction in there, and now that I've seen the movie, I know what they were doing in there. But I used that restroom. I used the restroom in the other school where Peter's going with the hall pass, and he asks Liz out to homecoming. I bonded with tall Dylan over there in that restroom one time. That's right behind the auditorium that we were staying in, as the holding area in the second school. And on the other side is the glass doors to get out of the school, and one of them was shattered, and I have no idea why that was. I don't know if someone was trying to get into the set and shattered it, or if like that was part of a scene that they cut out. I have no idea. Weird. They don't shoot that scene that way. Like if you watch it, they shoot it straight on and from this side, and they don't shoot it over this way because one of the windows is all cracked glass. This scene was what they were shooting. I told you they split the first day. They split the hallway scenes on this half and this half. First half, I was in the second half, where they showed Liz come in. Other half is where they shot that scene with Liz in the principal's office, and Lauren was in that scene with regular Dylan's girlfriend, and she found out that Liz left. So I knew that was spoiled for me, that Liz leaves at the end, really early on, that they break up and she leaves, which is kind of a bummer. Because if you know anything about me, I really don't like spoilers, but I got a lot of spoilers, obviously.
Yeah, why would you want to be an extra on a set for movies? Like, you're the last person on Earth that should want to do that.
Yeah. It was worth it. It was fun.
But yeah, that's so touching.
Phone.
She didn't have friends, but now she has friends. Oh, it's all shattered.
Yeah, but she said her... Yeah, but... Who calls you MJ, then, if you didn't have friends? You call yourself MJ?
Well, she's really eccentric. She might have just in the moment decided that.
Made it up. Yeah, my friends.
If I have friends, I've decided they're going to call me MJ. Maybe someday we'll get some backstory for her and we'll find out that she used to have a best friend that she doesn't talk to anymore. I don't know. We didn't get much from her next movie.
Like a psychotic best friend, like a double personality thing.
Blue Dragon 5. Yeah, she used to be best friends with like Typhoid Mary. DJ could have been the kid. This is Blue Dragon 5. DJ could have been the kid in the bathroom for that scene. Actually, no, because that kid has a speaking role.
Yeah,
he's not an extra. He is a character. He gets lines.
He's an actor. He's the kid that says chess.
He's the chess kid.
The kid who was playing chess with him though was just an extra. He was not an actor. I know that because he was the mascot kid. They put him. Oh. We had like specialty extras. Like there was a VR kid in the first scene. There was a guy holding the Kinect roller coaster. They had like specialty exters. And
what does that mean, specialty extras? Like they were brought in specifically to do those things?
They have a specific look. Like they chose you. They were part of the fitting like me. And they're like, oh, this guy, really tall, awkward guy with red hair, with a red like afro hair would be good for the VR guy. So he wears like the VR headset. And
or like with DJ, he'll be a specialty extra. We'll make him the welder, and we'll put a helmet on him so that we can't see his face.
Yeah, no, the only reason I got into that scene was because they came out and said, hey, we need anyone who's 18 or older. So me and Micah raised our hands. Micah was the guy that I was grinding on the grinder with me.
Oh, just so you could sign off on doing something dangerous?
We just had to use heavy machinery. Yeah, you had to be 18 or older. So I lucked out there. I was like, hey, I'm 24. I'm super old.
I shouldn't even. I wouldn't have said that. I would have been like, I'm over 18.
I did.
24. Leave.
I just raised my hand. I actually showed my wedding cake. For you guys who don't know, my wedding cake was a Spider-Man. Not my wedding cake, but the groomsman cake was a Spider-Man cake. And I was actually showing it to some kids there. And Pez, the guy walked by. He was like, "How old are you?"
I got married at 19.
I'm in high school with a wedding ring on. But yeah, so yeah, we shot that scene in the library. That was the second school. I had no idea what they were shooting in the library. We were just like in the hallway sitting for like a long time while they shot that library scene. We also shot the cafeteria scene at that school. That's not in the movie with everybody sitting down. They split up into these groups. Like there was like the drama kids, the jocks, like the basketball kids, the chess team kids, like the drone club, and they put us all in different places. I jumped into the drama club. I actually wasn't part of the drama club because I was the homecoming committee on the first day, but since they kind of pulled me out of the homecoming committee and Michael was in the drama club, Michael and Caroline, I just jumped in with them because I was hanging out with them at the time. So they're like, we need the drama kids. So I got pulled into the cafeteria scene. That's how I'm in the back of that scene. If you watch the deleted scenes, you can see me with Caroline talking to some people in the background.
Madman, I mean, Flash probably got a huge lecture from his dad because Spider-Man stole his car, and Flash still idolizes him in Far From Home. I find that weird.
That's true. He should be like Harry Osborn in the second movie, like, oh, I hate Spider-Man.
I kind of like this gag that you never know what Tony is actually up to. In this movie, where you get the scene where he is like not in the suit, and then you think he's not in the suit, and then he turns out to be in the suit, and then here you think there's not a crowd, but there is a crowd. Like, all that works for me fine.
Yeah, it's an extreme, but I mean, Tony's an extreme guy.
Okay, DJ, where do you land on the Iron Spider suit? I'm gonna assume you hate it.
Hate. Yeah,
okay.
Hated it in this. Just the look. I mean, that's a superficial thing, right? Like, it's just an aesthetic thing. I just don't like it. It's even worse because we have an Iron Spider suit that looks really cool, and I don't know why they.
Wait, where?
I mean, just like in the comics, like we have multiple Iron Spider.
Okay, so what's really which one are you saying looks cool? Because the main one that they had in Civil War, I've always hated. I think it looks really stupid.
You talking about? I actually don't know which one's in Civil War. Like, first of all, we have the
first time what is that? What is it? Orange? I can't even remember. But like, it looks. I always thought it looked kind of stupid. It's the one that's got like the big like legs that come out. This one will do that eventually. It'll pop out.
This is what's pulling from that. I don't know. I kind of like it. It's just red and has a gold spider. I think it looks better than I mean, you don't have to do like the weird symbol that they have on that one, but it looks better than all the like weird blue and black stuff that's on this one.
Wait, like, why am I such a lone wolf on this? I think it looks better than that. I always have. Now, I didn't like it in action. Like in the theater, I audibly
you said you loved this.
I audibly responded to this, and everybody thought it was the worst thing. I got on camera later, people were like, "Boo, it's stupid." I'm like, "What are you talking about? I thought it was pretty cool." And then we see it in action when we get into Infinity War, and I'm like, "Yeah, it's pretty bad."
Yeah, I just don't like how busy it is. Spider-Man always looks better simple, I think.
I can't explain why I liked it.
No, and I can't explain why I don't. I just don't. It's just
you just did. But I don't have a good like you're being articulate. I don't know.
So how do you? I mean, we got okay. I have something about this. I have a cool point, not related to my experience at all. But if you look at this is what I wanted at the end of this movie. I wanted him to when he gets this suit here, it's just a suit with no tech in it. Like he proved to Tony that he didn't need all that stuff in his suit, so Tony gives him a suit that doesn't have any of that stuff. And that's what I thought it was at the end of this movie. It was just really ambiguous, because if you look at the end of the score, I listened to the score after I got home from seeing this movie. The last track is called No Frills Proto Cool, like No Frills Protocol.
Interesting.
And no frills. What else could that mean? That means there's nothing in there. That means it's just a plain suit.
I never had that thought.
That's what I thought it was. And I was
and
like,
when
that's
he puts
awesome.
the mask on, the eyes don't move or anything.
I swear that's what they were doing, and then they just chickened out and gave him the tech again in the second movie. Because that would be great. I would be okay with the tech if he proves that he doesn't need it. Like, Iron Man's like, okay, that's not how he does things. It would be so cool if he doesn't have that in the second movie. And I don't know what that track means. Look up the score. It's called No Frills Protocol, and I don't know what that means.
Well, and do you agree with this? We could have had a nice compromise in 2 where his suit doesn't have that, but he still gets the glasses.
Yeah. That's cool.
Because that could at least help him, like, investigate and stuff. Because it's not like Spider-Man's a great detective or anything.
Yeah, that was so cool. Like, I don't do, like, the big speculation.
I've never thought of that.
When I was looking at the score, I was like, oh, this is awesome. I figured out something. This is what they're going to do in the next one. And then they didn't do it. And I was like, oh, I guess that was just a weird track name that they thought of. I don't know. It's not it's not a huge thing, but I think it would be so much cooler if he just has a regular suit in the next one.
Well, and then, of course, like Infinity War, he's immediately going to be using the suit that he declined to use here, but that's an extenuating circumstance, certainly. Because how else is he going to go to space?
Going to space, yeah. So anyway, I thought that was a cool
Mutale says he doesn't use tech in Infinity War before he gets the Iron Spider suit. He's not in that suit for any amount of time, though. Like, right?
Yeah. I don't know. He helps out a little bit, I guess, before they go up.
Does he?
Yeah, maybe so. But
I thought he was just. Maybe I'm just remembering this wrong. I thought he was just in the bus. No, I guess he does put the suit on, and then later because he's falling down that building, and then he gets the thing on him from the satellite.
He's going up the rocket, and then he gets it on him. So yeah, I don't know if that is the case. That's cool, but why did he just get the tech back in Far From Home then? I don't know.
Yeah, good call.
Look who it is! I like this actor playing Matt Gargan. He's cool. He's such a tiny part, but he's memorable.
Yeah, and you can kind of imagine him in the costume, and I mean, it'll be cool if we actually bring him back. Look how much shorter he is than Keaton.
And Keaton's pretty short, so he must be super short.
But isn't Matt Gargan often like a short guy?
I don't know. I think he's just like a brute usually, like Rhino. I think he's usually a
oh, okay.
Kind of big...
Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know. I obviously haven't read anything like major Scorpion stories.
So this is kind of promising us that we're gonna get Michael Keaton back. You did not expect that place to be Morbius.
Oh, what a weird world we live in. I love that we're shooting this so far ahead after all this craziness has happened. Oh man, but that was it. That was fun. I'm sure I could talk about a bunch more stuff.
See, I'm humming it right now. I mean,
you proved me wrong. Totally hummable. I don't know. I like listening to scores a lot when I'm like running or working out or like doing the dishes or whatever, and like I don't know. I really like scores, and I don't ever get the urge to put this one in. I don't know.
Madman, would Keaton agree to be in the Sinister Six? Well, Keaton is agreeing to play a Batman he played 30 years ago in a big crossover epic for DC, so I'm sure he's not going to mind coming. And also, he's going to be in Morbius. I still say for 25 seconds in the after-credit scene, but I guess we'll find out.
So speaking of extended Sony Spider-Verse, whatever the heck it's called, you asked me if I keep in touch with anybody. I keep in touch with a regular Dylan, so much so that when I went to California a couple years ago for a convention, not a nerdy convention, like a work convention, I met up with him because he still lives out in LA, and cool. We saw Venom together. Boy, was that disappointing. We're like, oh, we got to
go to a Spider-Man thing. Oh, it's this.
Yeah, it's been 2 years. I met this guy through a Spider-Man thing. It's going to be cool. And then we were just like sitting there the whole time. Like,
I'm glad when I finally saw a Spider-Man movie in the theater with Dan, it was at least an okay Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, it was terrible. And I felt so bad because he had to pay like so much money. He bought my, I don't think he bought my ticket for me, but the tickets in LA were like $20. And then we had got a dinner right before. And he paid for that, and then we had to pay like $20 to park just to get into the stupid theater, and then they wouldn't validate at the end. I felt so bad that he spent so much money to meet up with me, and we saw this horrible movie because of it.
It was really nice of him, though.
But it was
cool.
weird. But yeah, that was cool.
I gotta read some of these comments. Hawk Flame, great individual theme, though my favorite solo Marvel one is still Captain America. It's wonderful. I agree. The Day Ghost, I won't believe that Morbius is a real movie until it's in the $5 bin at Walmart. Tom, when is Morbius coming out? Well, just ask the virus.
Call up Corona.
Stephen Murphy, this felt like a fast viewing. It did. This went by real quick. Because of DJ's
I hope I was
wonderful
regaling
stories of his time as the welder.
Yeah, I could probably talk about this for a lot longer. It's kind of hard to talk about it while you're watching the movie because all the stuff is in different places. So like my experience was 2 weeks in a row, and then all the scenes were jumbled up. Like we shot the ending scene with Liz like on the first day. So
was there anything that you wanted to bring up that we weren't able to get to?
I don't know. I mean, probably just little tiny things that wouldn't be interesting. But yeah, I mean, it was a 2-week thing. I mean, we started. I shot Tuesday, Thursday. I was only scheduled Tuesday, Thursday the first week, but they called us all back. Like I said, because they were so behind on shooting scenes, they were super slow, and so they called us all back Wednesday to see who could come or who could make it. Just anyone who could make it. They said come back, and they weren't supposed to have extras that scene, so they didn't have food for us. So we got full craft services, like the same that the cast got.
Oh, that's
and it was
awesome.
Amazing. We like went through the line. They had like omelets made to order for us, like every breakfast food you can imagine. Same thing with lunch. Like it was crazy that second day. And there was only a few of us there because nobody was scheduled to be there. They just asked us to come back if we could. And obviously my work was super cool and let me stay around. So I did Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday that first week at Grady High School. And that was the hallway and the shop class scene and some other classroom scenes. And then we went to the second school and did the homecoming, the gym class. And that was another Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday shoot. So like I said, I wasn't part of the Pinewood Studios like Tall Dylan and Regular Dylan were. So they did all the stunt stuff at Washington, D.C. So I've heard a little bit about it through them. But yeah, I didn't get to be a part of that stuff. So that would have been really cool. But yeah, man, it was just a really fun experience. I don't know, like I said, I wasn't really caught up in getting on camera as much as just like seeing the process firsthand, contributing to the process in any way that I could. Obviously, I'm just an extra, so it doesn't mean that much. But yeah, it was just super cool.
Yeah, I would have done it just to be there.
Sure. Yeah, that was it. I mean, people are like, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "Because it's awesome." What do you mean? I don't know. People are like thinking I'm weird. I mean, it wasn't actually...
How's that any weirder than going to a fan convention? Like, I mean, I guess there's a lot of standing around, but that's true also of fan conventions.
Yeah, I will say this. If it wasn't a movie that I was super into, it's probably not worth it. It's kind of a terrible gig. Like,
yeah, if it's just some random movie, but if it's Spider-Man, like for me, if it was something like this, or if it was like, obviously it was Star Trek or something, you know what I mean? Like, just anything you're into.
You're mostly just sitting around all day long without access to your phone and just like... I mean,
but I'm an opportunist. It would be worth it for just people you might meet there.
Yeah.
Who knows who you'll run into? Like,
yeah, and Feige was there on set the first day on the first half of the hallway that I wasn't on. Regular Dylan told me about that. He was like, Kevin Feige was walking around with his hat on, obviously, and he was like showing concept art of the Quinjet to somebody, one of the crew members. That's something he remembered. I didn't get to see him, but that's cool that he was on set for the first day.
Neat.
Probably just like talking to the crew and stuff to get them hyped up. But yeah, like I said, it's not a good gig. I actually found these in my records. These are my checks.
Oh, neat.
From EFS Entertainment.
What did they pay you?
Biggest one, my biggest day was 104. And I have my timesheets here too. I'm gonna cover that up because that has my social security number on it. But they filled out these timesheets when we went. I think my biggest day was like 6 a.m. to like 9 p.m. So that was a long day, and I only got $104 for that.
Oh man! So they paid nothing then.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. Like 67, 95, 15, but that was the fitting. That was just going to get my clothes, and then like 91 and 91. So yeah, it was pretty measly, but
It sounds like the exact equivalent. Oh, we're about to get that great Captain America bit.
Yeah, there it is. This was a good one.
This is one of the best post-credit scenes when you have a mid-credit scene. Like this is worth it.
Yeah, it
Even when he
makes
says
sense
it's
when
not
these
worth it,
ones
it's
are
great.
just funny. Like, don't put the big, huge, like, universe-altering ones at the end. Just put the funny ones at the end.
Well, and you never get to see him play that kind of comedy in that role. So, like, he's going back to what he was doing in Fantastic Four and stuff. Like, it's really fun to get to go back and see that Chris Evans again.
Yeah, and Mutale says this suit is the worst, but that makes it even better that he's wearing that crappy Avenger suit.
Oh, it's so funny.
In those scenes.
Yeah, I love it. Every time. And they don't overdo it. Like, every time he's on camera, it's hilarious. It's spectacular. Okay, real quick, there's a few more comments here I want to read. Eric DX Fan 511. I have no interest in more BS. I mean, Morbius.
I saw that. That was great.
Good one.
Yeah, if you have any questions, guys, let me know. I tried to hit pretty much everything, but I'm sure there's stuff that I left out.
Yeah, you mentioned some things I didn't hear last time, so that was great. Blue Dragon 5. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. That's not who I was going to read. Somebody said they're really looking forward to us talking about Venom. I think that will be fun to watch with DJ. I really do.
Oh, I do have one.
Oh, Sony B. I missed Sony B moved again. I guess people wanted me to scream at that again. Arrgh! Be moved. Shut up. I'll be moved if I'm moved.
Be moved. So there was one scene that we shot the first day on the other half of the hallway that I didn't get to be in, but Michael told me about it. And I'm glad they cut it out. Really glad they cut it out because it was Peter flirting with the cheerleaders, and Michael said it seemed like really out of character, like it didn't fit at all. So there was a lot of stuff that they were just like throwing at the wall.
Sounds like they were just trying stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, which is fun. I'm sure some good stuff came out of that, but it's really weird. It's probably why we were so behind in shooting. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why he would be flirting with the cheerleaders.
Yeah, I've been listening to the audiobook version of the 50-year mission, which is the oral history of Star Trek, and there was some of what I was listening to today was talking about how I forget who it was, if it was Patrick Stewart or somebody else, but it's one of the British actors was like, yeah, we make movies where I'm from differently in TV shows differently than we make them in America. Like in England, somebody writes a script, and then you shoot the script. People are also asking if we are looking forward to doing Ragnarok, which is our next movie, I believe. I gotta be 100% honest. Yes and no. Like, no, in that I don't like that movie, and I know there's gonna be some fighting words and stuff. It'll be interesting to see, you know, how people in the comments feel and just how polarizing that ends up being, because it's one of the most polarizing spoiler casts I've ever done. But at the same time, I am really curious to see what my second impression is, because I've only seen it once. DJ, let's decide right in the here and now. Are we gonna rewatch that before we do the commentary? Because so far, I actually have been rewatching the movies. And it'll be a better commentary if we do, but
I don't know, man.
There's a part of me that wants to get my second, you know, viewing on camera. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about it. I really don't want to, but I know my wife has been wanting to rewatch this since the theater, and I refused to do it with her. So maybe I should be nice and watch it with her. Just to, because I kind of blocked it out of my mind. I hated it so much, but also a lot of stuff sticks with me because I hated it so much too. So
yeah,
I also hate this. Look at this terribleness. This release is, even the release is terrible. The freaking book that comes with it doesn't fit all the way in. Disney, come on. What is
that's
like,
ridiculous?
The book doesn't go back in. I hate that. Anyway, I found this at Half Price Books for like $10. That's the only reason I bought it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have even bought this movie because I really didn't like it. So if I got any fans through this experience in this commentary, I'm going to lose them all in the next commentary because I really didn't like this movie, and everybody's going to be mad at me.
So I'm gonna try to kind of kick this right now. Several people saying you've got to have Eric here. Eric's not gonna be in Marvel Mania this time, guys. I'm sorry. We're shooting this on a day he can't be here. It's not, the scheduling doesn't work out. So I'm sorry that's not gonna happen. But it's just not gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean, I would love it because I would get to bash this movie with him because I know he hates it.
Yeah, no, it'd be fun, certainly. But yeah, no, this one's gonna strictly be me and DJ this time around.
Yeah, we'll make it fun. I mean, I don't have any stories obviously like this one, but we'll
be like, I was on the set of Thor Ragnarok. I was appalled. I just left.
I would love to have that story. Just Yeah, I don't know where they shot that because it's all in space. I'm sure they must have
It's
shot
like,
a lot
I
of it
liked the hella headdress.
studio.
That was about it. Yeah, I mean, how much of that would just be on a soundstage? You don't have to do any location shooting for that.
Yeah, well, the guy was bragging about how they shot. I didn't mention this. The guy was bragging about how they shot the Ragnarok, Homecoming, and Guardians 2 cameos with Stan Lee, like all back to back. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure you heard about that. He was telling me that like way beforehand, before the public knew about it, because we didn't know how much time we had with him. So that was cool. But so yeah, he gets to do all the Marvel movies, I guess. So he's spilling secrets everywhere. Most of the stuff from the tabloids is probably coming from that one guy who's just telling everybody everything he knows about the movies. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. That was a fun experience. There's probably a ton of questions that I didn't answer. You can message me if you have any questions that I didn't get to.
Yeah, I didn't notice anything as I was looking through, especially right here at the end. But
yeah, I mean, people keep asking me my favorite experience. It was probably that scene meeting Tom and talking to him, and obviously actually contributing to that one scene with my little thing. We didn't talk about this. The reason we call me the welder is because the people in the Captain Logan show like built this whole story around me. Like he's a villain that hates Peter Parker, and like he's gonna come back and get his revenge. Like we didn't even talk about that, but that's the whole reason. I wouldn't have bought this if it was just because I was in that scene, but they've made it such a special thing with all their comments and all their.
It's turned into sort of a character.
Yeah,
at some point, I want to kind of do something with that. I don't know what. And like tonight would have been sort of a fun night for you to just like for us to build that character and have you just in character. But I wanted you to get to talk about that experience.
Yeah, that would have been so weird to do a commentary in character the whole time. Where I'm just a high schooler that hates Peter. We have to do a shorter video for that. I don't know if I can keep that going for 2.5 hours. But.
Yeah, because if you did, like, we wouldn't talk enough about the movie, and so yeah, that's why we didn't do the in-character thing. But it's really cool that you bought that helmet, and
we have it if we want to use it for something else.
We'll do something with the welder at some point.
But yeah, so those guys are great. They've been doing hilarious things. My wife actually, because of those guys, got me a welder Christmas ornament. We do this thing every year where we get each other an ornament for Christmas, and she got me a welder one this year that I posted in the Secret Society on the Patreon for everyone to see. It's really cool. But thanks, guys. I think the Day Ghost, Austin is one of the guys who really like built up this Mutale, built up this whole.
And I don't even remember a lot of that anymore. I hope we have some of that written down somewhere so we can use it, because I don't want to have to reinvent it from the ground up if we ever do anything with it.
One of the things, and I'll tell you guys, watch the deleted scene that is called. Oh, my browser's being weird. I can't get to it right now. There's a deleted scene called. Oh, yeah, there it is. It's the teacher. What's his name? Mr. Harrington, something. Mr. Harrington's Lessons in Love. It's like this 4-minute scene. It's like all the deleted scenes from that teacher, just like his.
Oh, I've seen that actually. Yeah.
Yeah, and at the very end when he's doing the jokes with Hannibal Buress, the other teacher in the homecoming dance scene, I'm behind him like the whole time for like a couple minutes, just standing there with Katie. So I sent a picture of that into the Secret Society and said, "Here's the welder, little known picture of the welder seen here with the villainous she-welder." So I said that one time, and like the guys went running off with it and made up this whole story for the she-welder and awesome. How she died in the blip, and now he's like seeking revenge on Spider-Man stuff. So it's hilarious.
We just got another super chat real quick. Draco Aries, thanks man. $4.99 super chat. I despise Thor Ragnarok. Wish I got those 2 hours of my life back. I mean, I didn't feel like it was a complete waste of time so much as just I was disappointed with the tonal direction they decided to go with it. Like, what was more frustrating for me is that there were some things I found entertaining. I just thought it was really inappropriate for that material. Like, a lot of what they did in that, and some of the humor I just didn't get because I don't apparently understand. What is it, Australian or New Zealand humor? I forget where the director's from. But like, I don't know, in the right movie. Some of that would have been maybe okay, but it was because it was that material. It was because they were messing with Simonson, and it was like Ragnarok is like the big thing that you want to build. That should have been the big epic. It's the end of the world. It's the end of Thor's world, certainly. It's the most horrible dramatic stuff that happens to him, and we play it all for comedy. It felt like somebody was doing like an English project for a class that they just didn't take seriously and were just like messing around. Where like you're supposed to give like a real serious report, but they just get up at the front and they rap for 5 minutes. It felt like that.
Yeah, and you have so you have that. At least you have that to hold on to, where it's somewhat entertaining to you. None of the humor worked for me, and if none of the humor works for you in that movie, it's kind of a miserable experience because that's all it is. It's just like an SNL skit for the whole
And there's a
time,
lot of
so.
stuff in places where the humor doesn't land with me. There's a lot of places where it felt like a real miss where I'm like, okay, I don't even know why I'm supposed to be laughing right now. And I felt like Goldblum was a little wasted.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about my sense of humor before, where I like really dry, like sarcastic stuff, and that in this movie is more like goofy, like what, you didn't expect that, right? You didn't expect Thor to throw a ball and hit himself in the face, like, and I don't.
It was
like that
slapsticky,
humor.
yeah. And I love absurd humor, but it wasn't like Douglas Adams-y. It was different than that.
Yeah, it's like oh, let's take the stuff out of your heroes and just make them bumbling idiots, and that's funny, right? No, I don't want to see that.
Yes, I mean, we'll warn you. If you love that movie, you may not have the best time with us. Like, we're gonna take the gloves off. I mean, we're not gonna.
But we'll talk. I mean, we're open to hearing your side. We're not gonna like completely dismiss any opinions.
Of course, that's part of why I'm trying to decide if I want to watch it again ahead of time or just get a raw experience, because I don't want to spend the whole time complaining about things from my memory from a couple of years ago. But at the same time, I don't know what my experience is going to be on a second viewing. So I'm leaning toward watching it first. But
I kind of hate to have your second viewing be with me, because you probably won't have a good experience.
That's true. I mean, I'm leaning toward watching it first, but
yeah, we may do that. We'll talk about it. But yeah, and also this happens to me a lot, and a lot of people sometimes. When you're having a miserable experience with the movie, you miss the good things too. So yeah, I'm sure there are some good things that I just couldn't see because I was like, ugh, groaning so much, you know. So I'll try to be open-minded. I mean, I'll do my best. We'll see.
Well, DJ, thanks for running point tonight. That was great, and
yeah.
it was fun to hear those stories and some new stuff that I hadn't heard before. And we managed to talk a lot about the movie too, which was nice.
Yeah, we did more of that than I was expecting, and which is good because I wasn't actually prepared for that, and I think it went pretty well. So I'm losing my voice though, as you can hear, because I've been talking so much.
Oh, I guess now would be a good time to end the show. Everybody, thanks a lot for watching. Hope you had a good time with us. We certainly enjoyed it. I'm loving bringing Marvel Mania back, and I think this has been a really good format. Doing this every couple of weeks has been really nice, and thank you guys for pumping in, watching live, and thanks for watching after the fact if you did that. Thanks everybody that left comments and super chats tonight. You guys are great. We will be back for you Thursday night for another episode of the Captain Logan Show. Probably just a regular Ask Me Anything show unless some big news happens to come up, and lots more fun, cool things coming your way soon on the channel. We will see you again on Thursday. I'm Captain Logan. That was DJ Martinez, otherwise known as The Welder.
The Welder. I'll get you next time, Spider-Man.
See you later, folks. Bye.